Do you love novels, but don't have time to read thousands of chapters? Imagine listening to your favorite stories anytime, anywhere, while driving, working, or relaxing. Here, you'll find premium audiobooks from Pocket FM, Audible, Webnovel, Wuxia, and more, all in one place. Every novel is a one-time payment, no subscriptions, no monthly fees, lifetime access. The full novel list and prices are in the description below. Once you choose a novel, just DM me on Telegram, WhatsApp, or Discord. After payment via PayPal, Ko-fi, or Patreon, you get permanent access to the audiobook on Telegram. And if the novel is ongoing, all future updates are included. Check the description, pick your story, and start listening today. Before we start the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Enjoy, and let's go.
351, Chapter 351. Captain, I need a reason. Why? She's a demon. Kyojuro protested to Ryaji. Captain Ryaji, while I respect you, I also want to know why. Captain, I need a reason. Why? She's a demon. Kyojuro protested to Ryaji. Captain Ryaji, while I respect you, I also want to know why. Siakairo Sakata took the opportunity to ask. Kenta Inoue was more accepting of Nezuko. He simply adjusted his glasses and said, "The captain has his reasons. I don't think there's anything to ask." The Murata brothers didn't press the issue, remaining silent. "Big brother White Hair, you're here too. Everyone's awake. If so, let's lift the train." Inashuk, seeking help, greeted everyone. Everyone was confused. Lift the train? Why? Ryaji, ignoring Inashuk for the moment, addressed Kyojuro and Sakata. "A reason, you say? Why?" "Because while you were all asleep under lower rank 1's blood demon art, Nezuko was protecting you. Is that reason enough?" He then turned to Inashuk. "Inashuk, what's going on? What do you mean by, lift the train?" Just then, a loud commotion reached their carriage. Ryaji sensed an oppressive force outside. His face changed. "Not good, there's danger outside. Zenitsu, take Nezuko, let's go check it out." Ryaji was the first to rush out, Inashuk sensing something was wrong and immediately following. Zenitsu grabbed the Japanese cedar box from the carriage seat, opened it, and gestured to Nezuko. "Nezuko, get in. We need to go see what's happening with Senpai Ryaji." Even if Ryaji hadn't told him, Zenitsu would have taken Nezuko. He wasn't comfortable leaving her with the second squad. Nezuko instantly transformed into a 3-year-old child and jumped into the box. Zenitsu closed the box, slung it onto his back, and ran after them. Only the 4 members of the Zanjutsu squad remained. Shinichi Murata said hesitantly, "Senpai Ryaji just left us like that." "Little brother," Senpai Ryaji was clearly angry. Shinichi Murata explained to his brother. "Look, Nezuko is Senpai Ryaji's weak point. No matter who it is, touching her means death. So we shouldn't antagonize Nezuko. Look at Zenitsu and Inashuk. Therefore, Vice Captain Kyojuro and Siakairo, you two don't need to be so serious." Shinichi Murata took the opportunity to smooth things over for Ryaji. He didn't want the team atmosphere to become tense. He was mediating, helping Ryaji maintain his relationship with the team. "Let's go check out the situation too," Murata continued, giving Kyojuro a way out. Kyojuro wasn't stubborn and accepted his suggestion. She ordered as the second squad leader, "Let's go." 352, Chapter 352. A loud thud echoed, and 10 meters away from Tanjiro and Kyojuro Rengoku, a figure crouched. The light from the train carriages revealed A.M. A loud thud echoed, and 10 meters away from Tanjiro and Kyojuro Rengoku, a figure crouched. The light from the train carriages revealed a man with light red, short hair, wearing a small waistcoat and loose-fitting trousers. Black patterns resembling tattoos, but simpler and less detailed, covered his face and body. The ground around the man was cracked, with a small, centimeter-deep depression centered on his position, clearly the source of the sound. Without speaking, the pink-haired man suddenly leaped towards the prone Tanjiro. His speed was incredible. Tanjiro felt a tremor in the ground, then saw the man before him, his fist hurtling towards his head. To attack the prone Tanjiro, the man had crouched low, bringing him within 2 fists distance, extremely close. At such close range, Tanjiro saw the words upper rank and 3 on the man's pupils, 1 word on each eye. Tanjiro sensed the man was a demon, but he hadn't expected an upper rank of the 12 Kazuki. Lower ranks had already pushed Tanjiro to his limits. How terrifying would an upper rank be? Flame breathing, second form, rising scorching sun. Flame breathing, second form, rising scorching sun. This technique is an upward, crescent-shaped slash that creates an extremely sharp, flaming arc. Kyojuro Rengoku's reaction was just as swift, his timing impeccable. As upper rank 3's fist was about to land, Kyojuro's red Nichiren blade, etched with flame patterns, descended, striking the fist. Upper rank 3's fist was deflected upwards by Kyojuro's upward strike. The sharp, crescent-shaped flame arc easily bisected upper rank 3's arm at the forearm, splitting it like a snake's tongue. After the failed attack, upper rank 3 didn't counterattack immediately. Instead, he swiftly retreated, creating distance between himself and Kyojuro Rengoku. As soon as he stopped, his bisected arm had fully healed, as if Kyojuro's attack had never landed. Upper rank 3 licked the blood that had welled up from the wound. While he could absorb it, he chose to lick it off to appear more bloodthirsty. Nice blade. And your swordsmanship is quite sharp. Upper rank 3 complimented Kyojuro after licking the blood. Your regeneration is also quite fast. This oppressive aura and chilling presence, befitting an upper rank of the 12 Kazuki. I've learned a lot, Rengoku replied. However, I don't understand why you attacked someone already injured, Kyojuro added. 353, Chapter 353. Because he had to die. That way, no one will interfere with our conversation, upper rank 3 replied to Kyojuro Rengoku. Rengoku was Sir. Because he had to die. That way, no one will interfere with our conversation, upper rank 3 replied to Kyojuro Rengoku. Rengoku was surprised. Why would a demon want to talk to him? What could they possibly discuss? He asked, oh, what do you want to talk about? Though we've just met, I already dislike you. Is that so? I hate the weak. Seeing the weak makes me want to kill them, just like that little brat lying there. Upper rank 3 gestured towards the prone Tanjiro with disdain. It seems we have nothing to talk about. Our values are diametrically opposed. Rengoku's dislike intensified. He despised the wanton trampling of the weak. You're a Hashira, aren't you? I sense the strength in your aura. It's been honed, close to the highest realm, but you haven't stepped into it. I have a suggestion that could help you reach that realm. Are you interested? Instead of attacking, upper rank 3 engaged Rengoku in conversation. A demon understands the path of cultivation? How laughable. Rengoku scoffed at the offer of guidance. Upper rank 3 wasn't angered by the mockery. Let me tell you why you haven't reached the highest realm. He pointed at Rengoku. Because you're human. You age, get sick, and die. Your physical capabilities and potential decline with each passing day. Your human shell limits your growth. Become a demon like me. That way, regardless of time, you can continue to grow stronger. Finally, upper rank 3 revealed his true intentions. He admired Rengoku and wanted to recruit him, making him a fellow demon. Don't be ridiculous. The most beautiful thing about life is experiencing the joys and sorrows of the world within a limited time, then departing with those precious memories. Rengoku refused, countering upper rank 3's twisted logic. Becoming a demon for power was a treacherous path. Regardless of the reason, I will never become a demon. That's my principle. Rengoku firmly rejected the offer. Is that so? Upper rank 3's eyes narrowed slightly. He assumed a fighting stance, activating his combat-oriented Blood Demon Art. Blood Demon Art, Compass Needle. Upper rank 3's Blood Demon Art lacked the flair of lower ranks. It was simple, physical combat. Its simplicity made it effective and brutal. Compass Needle. This is upper rank 3's core skill, a state-sensing ability with no offensive capabilities. 354, Chapter 354. While Compass Needle doesn't inflict damage, it allows upper rank 3 to sense his opponent's movements. When activated, a snowflake shape. While Compass Needle doesn't inflict damage, it allows upper rank 3 to sense his opponent's movements. When activated, a snowflake-shaped compass appears beneath upper rank 3's feet, with a 5-meter radius. This means that if an opponent enters the compass's range, upper rank 3 can sense their aura fluctuations through Compass Needle, making his attacks and dodges as precise as magnets, like poles repelling, unlike poles attracting. Because it senses aura, keeping one's aura from leaking prevents Compass Needle from working. However, suppressing one's aura during combat requires a high-level skill called Transparent World. Transparent World is incredibly difficult to master, even Kyojuro Rengoku hasn't achieved it. Ryaji, needless to say, hasn't mastered it either. Though his breathing techniques, enhanced by the hyperdimensional travel system, have reached the ultimate level, without Transparent World, he can't completely conceal his aura during combat. Transparent World is the next skill Ryaji needs to master to fully utilize the power of his ultimate level breathing techniques. If you refuse, I'll kill you. Upper Rank 3 threatened, preparing to attack. In an instant, Rengoku and Upper Rank 3 moved simultaneously, blurring into indistinct shadows as they clashed violently. Tanjiro, lying on the ground, couldn't visually track the details. The battle between a Hashira and an Upper Rank was lightning fast. All he saw were two shadows flashing, accompanied by intense bursts of fiery sword light, Rengoku's attacks. While watching the intense fight, a dark figure appeared before Tanjiro, a tremendously large and muscular man exuding a powerful demon aura. The aura was as strong as lower rank 5 on Natagyamo Mountain. Before Tanjiro could react, the hulking demon punched him in the head. Tanjiro, weakened from blood loss and caught completely off guard by the sudden attack, couldn't react in time. Rengoku noticed the change and looked back, shouting, "Tanjiro!" This distraction allowed Upper Rank 3 to seize the opportunity, rushing towards Rengoku and landing a powerful punch to his stomach, sending him flying. Even as a Hashira, you can't afford to be distracted in battle. It'll get you killed, Upper Rank 3 said calmly, watching Rengoku fly away. 355, Chapter 355. Just as Tanjiro faced imminent danger and Rengoku was unable to intervene, the demon's arm, about to strike Tanjiro's head, suddenly severed. Just as Tanjiro faced imminent danger and Rengoku was unable to intervene, the demon's arm, about to strike Tanjiro's head, suddenly severed. It appeared to have been cut by something incredibly sharp. The wound was perfectly clean. The demon's entire arm was inexplicably gone. Stunned, Tanjiro immediately thought of Ryaji, only he could attack an enemy from a distance. Tanjiro couldn't think of anyone else who could have saved him in that situation. Then, another figure appeared, Ryaji, identifiable by his back and hair color. Tanjiro's anxiety eased considerably. Ryaji grabbed the demon by the neck, flung him away with a powerful throw. Ina shook, "You and the second squad deal with this lower rank too. Zenitsu, quickly take Tanjiro to safety." Ryaji issued a series of commands. The demon who attacked Tanjiro had been sent by Muzan Kibutsuji to kill him. If lower rank 1 had succeeded, lower rank 2 and upper rank 3 wouldn't have been needed. But not only had lower rank 1 failed, he'd been killed by the demon slayers. Therefore, upper rank 3 and lower rank 2 had to clean up the mess. Lower rank 1's death was incredibly pathetic. Merging with the train had cost him any chance of escape, and his blood demon art proved ineffective, turning him into a giant target. After being sent flying by upper rank 3, Kyojuro Rengoku rolled across the ground, using the momentum to push himself up, using one hand to brace himself. Unable to stop his momentum, he assumed a low, stable stance to absorb the impact from upper rank 3's blow. He slid several meters before stopping. A trickle of blood escaped his mouth, indicating upper rank 3's attack had caused injury. Despite the blow, seeing Ryaji rescue Tanjiro brought a smile to Rengoku's previously anxious face. Lower rank 2, having fallen to the ground, rolled and stood up. Ina shook, drawing his two Nichiren blades, excitedly charged towards the hulking demon. Lower rank 2 glared at Ryaji with intense killing intent, then turned to Ina shook, roaring, "You're asking to die." His arm, severed by Ryaji, instantly regenerated. As Ina shook leaped to attack, lower rank 2 unleashed a swift punch, striking Ina shook's descending Nichiren blade, sending him flying. 356, Chapter 356. While lower rank 2 also primarily used close quarters combat, his strength wasn't significantly greater than the muscle demon the Differa. While lower rank 2 also primarily used close quarters combat, his strength wasn't significantly greater than the muscle demon. The difference in power wasn't vast. However, in other aspects, the muscle demon was far superior to lower rank 2, most notably in reaction time and regeneration. Like upper rank 3, lower rank 2 was a demon skilled in martial arts, a significant advantage over the muscle demon. After being hit by lower rank 2, Ina shook's Nichiren blade had a few teeth chipped, but thankfully, it didn't break. The damage was caused by bone spurs that had evolved on lower rank 2's knuckles, serving as deadly weapons. Inashuk felt a tingling numbness in his arms, was sent flying backward, and was caught by a combined wind wall created by the Murata brothers. The wind wall cushioned the impact, and Inashuk landed, quickly getting back on his feet. This time, he didn't immediately charge, as lower rank 2 was already in a fighting stance, clearly ready for battle. Inashuk realized this lower rank 2 wasn't a simple brute. The Murata brothers approached. "Inashuk, are you all right?" Inashuk shook his head. "I'm fine." Though he claimed to be fine, Shinichi Murata noticed a slight tremor in Inashuk's hands. While Inashuk distracted lower rank 2, Zenitsu stealthily approached Tanjiro, helped him up, and moved him to a safer location. Before leaving, Zenitsu called out to Ryaji, "Senpai Ryaji, be careful." Ryaji's appearance caught upper rank 3's attention. He focused on Ryaji, giving him a meaningful smile. "Another powerful demon slayer. A Hashira, I presume. Are you planning a 2-on-1? Isn't that a bit unfair?" "We don't need 2 to deal with you," Ryaji retorted. Upper rank 3's smirk widened. "Big words. Not at all humble. That's quite unlikable." "Good. I don't want men to like me," Ryaji countered. "Smooth-talking brat." Upper rank 3, unwilling to engage in banter, attacked Ryaji. Rengoku didn't intend to cooperate with Ryaji. After Ryaji took over the fight, Rengoku chose to observe, both to witness Ryaji's skills and to recover from his injuries. Meanwhile, a 6-person team led by Inashuk and Kyojuro engaged lower rank 2, splitting the battlefield into two. 357, Chapter 357. Inashuk's group had surrounded lower rank 2, but the demon remained unfazed, keeping a watchful eye on Inashuk, Kyojuro, the Murata brother. Inashuk's group had surrounded lower rank 2, but the demon remained unfazed, keeping a watchful eye on Inashuk, Kyojuro, the Murata brothers, Sakata, and Inoue. Seeing that they weren't attacking, lower rank 2 surveyed his surroundings. Fighting so many demon slayers in an open area wasn't wise. With a powerful leap, he vanished into the woods beyond the tracks. Inashuk yelled, "You turtle bastard, don't run." He gave chase. The other 4 looked to Kyojuro, awaiting her command. Unlike Inashuk, a member of Squad 1, they were members of Squad 2. Ryaji had explained that Squad 1 members were better suited for individual combat, while Squad 2 relied on teamwork to compensate for individual weaknesses. Most importantly, they were facing lower rank 2 of the 12 Kazuki. They knew they couldn't face a member of the 12 Kazuki alone without total concentration, constant. Kyojuro ordered, "Follow." The 5 members of Zangetsu Squad 2 gave chase. Although Ryaji was intensely battling upper rank 3, he noticed what happened with Inashuk. The situation, enemy concealed, allies exposed, worried him. If there was an ambush, Inashuk and Squad 2 would be in grave danger. Before Ryaji could speak, Rengoku, sensing the danger, said, "Ryaji, I'll leave this to you. I'll go check it out." He pursued them into the woods. Upper rank 3 sensed that Ryaji was testing him, not using his full power. Tired of the sparring, he taunted, "Brat, is that all you've got? You can't kill me like this." Ryaji wasn't provoked. Upper rank 3's precise evasions hinted at something unusual, so Ryaji didn't attack blindly. Seeing Ryaji's inaction, upper rank 3 suspected he was aiming for a war of attrition. But he was a demon, he wouldn't tire. Ryaji must know that. Finally, upper rank 3 launched a fierce attack. Destructive Death, Disorder. Destructive Death, Disorder. This technique is a concentrated barrage of blows, each accompanied by a powerful shockwave. Upper rank 3 assumed a stable stance and unleashed a flurry of punches at Ryaji's chest. Ryaji countered with his water surface slash. The barrage of slashes and punches collided, creating ripples in the air. These ripples intensified into powerful energy waves that spread outwards. Zenitsu, peeking from behind a carriage, saw the spectacle, his nerves taut. "It's truly a battle of gods. There's no way to intervene," he muttered. 358, Chapter 358. The intensity of the exchange prevented both Ryaji and upper rank 3 from easily stopping. To do so would give the opponent an opening FO. The intensity of the exchange prevented both Ryaji and upper rank 3 from easily stopping. To do so would give the opponent an opening for a devastating counterattack. Ryaji's blade didn't strike upper rank 3. Each of upper rank 3's punches released energy, and Ryaji's blade struck this energy, unable to penetrate it to reach the fist. Even if Ryaji had hit upper rank 3's fist, it wouldn't have had any effect. While Ryaji's Nichiren blade could suppress upper rank 3's regeneration, unless the wound was severe, the suppression wouldn't significantly impact him. Only by severing an arm, leg, or bisecting him, inflicting a wound that hampered his fighting ability, would the blade's suppression be crucial. Even a second suppression would give Ryaji a chance to deliver a fatal blow. Impressive, brat. You seem even stronger than the Hashira in the flame-patterned white robe. Let me see, that was flame breathing, so the flame Hashira, I presume. You use water breathing and wear a blue, water-patterned robe. The water Hashira. I've killed Hashira before, but you're the most impressive. Upper rank 3, amidst the battle, complimented Ryaji, seemingly unfazed by the intensity of the attack. Why don't you join us? Become a demon and gain immortality. We can fight endlessly, without fear of death. Upper rank 3 attempted to recruit Ryaji, but Ryaji would never consort with demons. Ignoring him, Ryaji focused on his Nichiren blade, maintaining the water surface slash. With the ultimate level breathing technique, he could easily maintain it for 10 seconds. Seeing Ryaji's silence, upper rank 3 assumed he was exhausted. Running out of steam. Can't even speak. Seems you're not so impressive after all. Why are you so chatty? All this jabbering. Do you think talking during a fight is impressive? Want me to show you how to eat an apple one-handed? Ryaji retorted unexpectedly, deliberately provoking upper rank 3. He'd been taunted, so he retaliated verbally. He raised his free hand, waving it at upper rank 3. If he'd had an apple, he would have eaten it. Upper rank 3 was enraged. Ryaji had been fighting with one hand while upper rank 3 used both fists, a blatant display of contempt. Enraged, upper rank 3 changed his technique. Destructive Death, Annihilation Type. 359, Chapter 359. Destructive Death, Annihilation Type. Upper rank 3 unleashes an extremely destructive punch at a single target. This is a single target. Destructive Death, Annihilation Type. Upper rank 3 unleashes an extremely destructive punch at a single target. This is a single target burst skill with no area of effect AoE. Any target hit is either killed or severely incapacitated, instantly losing combat ability. Therefore, to withstand it directly, Ryaji would need to activate demonification. Otherwise, his normal physical strength wouldn't be sufficient. However, Ryaji wouldn't foolishly try to endure the attack head-on. Creating distance to dodge upper rank 3's annihilation type was impossible at their close proximity. Ryaji had to change his technique, countering upper rank 3's martial arts with his own. Wood breathing, first form, wood invasion, piercing. Ryaji's Nichiren blade and upper rank 3's fist collided. Even so, upper rank 3 showed no intention of stopping, aiming for a direct confrontation. He relied on his powerful demonic regenerative abilities. Even if Ryaji severed an arm, it would have little effect. Conversely, injuring Ryaji would significantly impact his fighting ability. Ryaji's entire blade pierced upper rank 3's arm, as if the arm were a scabbard. Explode! Ryaji shouted. Upper rank 3's arm rapidly inflated and then exploded into pieces of flesh. However, upper rank 3's annihilation form had already been unleashed. Although its full power hadn't been released yet, the initial burst still sent Ryaji flying. Upper rank 3 was also blown back. This clash finally broke the deadlock. Both Ryaji and upper rank 3 were injured. Ryaji's first injury in battle. His injury was to his right arm, the one wielding the blade, with severe damage to the wrist joint and a fractured forearm. Ryaji regained his footing, but his Nichiren blade slipped from his hand and fell to the ground. He looked down at his blade and then at his now useless right arm. His expression was serious. Having witnessed the power of an upper rank, he acknowledged the vast difference between upper and lower moons. Immediately, Ryaji used wood breathing to begin healing his arm. While not as dramatic as a demon's regeneration, it at least provided some relief. Upper rank 3 also covered the wound on his severed arm, attempting to regenerate it. However, he found it incredibly difficult, as if some force was hindering the process. He looked somewhat panicked. This was due to Ryaji's wood breath energy. During the attack, a large amount of this energy had instantly flowed into upper rank 3's arm, disrupting his cells and causing the explosion. Wood breath energy remained in the wound, preventing easy regeneration. Despite the hampered regeneration, upper rank 3 remained remarkably calm and collected. 360, Chapter 360. Heh. Upper rank 3 clutched his wounded arm and chuckled at Ryaji. Your hand can't even hold a sword anymore. How are you going to? Heh. Upper rank 3 clutched his wounded arm and chuckled at Ryaji. Your hand can't even hold a sword anymore. How are you going to fight me now? Ha. His chuckle quickly turned into unrestrained laughter. Ryaji didn't respond, silently picking up his Nichiren blade with his left hand, gripping it firmly, the blade pointed at upper rank 3. This was the perfect response to upper rank 3's mockery, injured right hand or not, he was still ready to fight. Upper rank 3 laughed even harder. I forgot you still had one hand. Very well, then I'll cripple your other hand. He roared, furiously regenerating his severed arm. With considerable effort, the arm was restored. Upper rank 3 immediately launched a new attack. Ryaji's injured right arm presented a perfect opportunity, so upper rank 3 fought even more aggressively. Seeing upper rank 3 close in, Ryaji leaped back to create distance. However, upper rank 3 seized this moment, launching another of his combat-oriented blood demon arts. Destructive Death, Air Type. Destructive Death, Air Type. 6 consecutive punches launched into the void, causing the air to explode into powerful air bombs. This is a long-range technique effective up to 20 meters. Sensing the unstable air around him, Ryaji quickly sheathed and then redrew his Nichiren blade. Water Breathing, 12th Form, Dark Blade Slaughter. As the air around Ryaji exploded, numerous dense water blades appeared, effectively deflecting the blast. However, the air shockwave still affected his balance upon landing, forcing him to rapidly adjust his footing. Upper rank 3, a highly experienced upper moon, saw Ryaji's momentary imbalance and immediately launched a fierce follow-up attack. Destructive Death, Crushing Type, 10,000 Leaves Flashing Willow. Destructive Death, Crushing Type, 10,000 Leaves Flashing Willow. Upper rank 3 leaped, delivering a downward punch at his target or the ground. If striking a living being, the blood vessels near the impact point would explode. If striking the ground, the powerful impact would create a 3-meter-wide slight depression, along with leaf vein-like cracks. Knowing his chances of hitting Ryaji directly were low, upper rank 3 didn't aim for him but instead struck the ground beneath his feet. The ground beneath Ryaji sank slightly, cracking like leaf veins. The sudden ground collapse and the violent shockwave further destabilized Ryaji, causing him to fall. 361, Chapter 361. Oh no, Senpai Ryaji seems to be losing. He might lose. Zenitsu, peeking from behind a train carriage, nervously muttered. Tanjiro. Oh no, Senpai Ryaji seems to be losing. He might lose. Zenitsu, peeking from behind a train carriage, nervously muttered. Tanjiro, also hiding behind a carriage, watched the battle between Ryaji and upper rank 3. Tanjiro was surprised to see Ryaji on the defensive. Ryaji had previously won with overwhelming strength. This setback against upper rank 3 was hard to believe. Ryaji's disadvantage wasn't due to weakness. Upper moons were far stronger than lower moons. Upper rank 3, a martial arts specialist, possessed exceptional combat skills, preventing Ryaji from gaining an advantage in close combat. However, Tanjiro didn't believe Ryaji would lose. He felt Ryaji was invincible, regardless of the opponent. Zenitsu, let's go help Senpai Ryaji. Tanjiro suggested. Zenitsu held Tanjiro down. Tanjiro, did a woman sit on your head? If even Senpai Ryaji can't gain the upper hand, going there would be suicidal. Tanjiro understood, yet still felt compelled to help. He didn't want to be a mere spectator. We have to do something. Zenitsu, mentally preparing for the worst, said, then let's organize the evacuation of the train passengers. He anticipated Ryaji might lose and need a tactical retreat. Zenitsu and Tanjiro would need to retreat as well. Without organizing an evacuation beforehand, there wouldn't be time to help the survivors if Ryaji was overwhelmed. They would become easy targets for the demon. Tanjiro didn't understand. Evacuate? Why? Tanjiro, I think your mother squeezed you too hard during childbirth. Haven't you considered what happens if Senpai Ryaji loses to that red-haired demon? Zenitsu exasperatedly complained. Tanjiro shook his head. He believed Ryaji was invincible and hadn't considered that possibility. If Ryaji loses, he'll have to retreat. He can't just throw his life away. So we need to evacuate the passengers now, to a safe place. That way, Ryaji can retreat without worry. Zenitsu took a deep breath, suppressing his urge to yell at Tanjiro, explaining the potential scenario and the necessary actions. 362, Chapter 362. After hearing Zenitsu's explanation, Tanjiro agreed it made sense. While he believed Ryaji was unbeatable, evacuating the train passengers After hearing Zenitsu's explanation, Tanjiro agreed it made sense. While he believed Ryaji was unbeatable, evacuating the train passengers was a smart move. Let's get started then. Tanjiro was energized and eager to act. Seeing Tanjiro wasn't going to join the fight, Zenitsu breathed a sigh of relief and joined him in organizing the evacuation. Meanwhile, after falling, Ryaji quickly rolled, a deliberate action. Using the momentum, he pushed off the ground with his left hand, launching himself into the air and performing a 360-degree spin. Upper rank 3, however, stayed close. As Ryaji prepared his next move, he attacked again. Upper rank 3 bent down, hands on the ground, as if to do a cartwheel, but instead, he twisted his body and kicked at the spinning Ryaji. Destructive Death, leg type, crown splitter. The kick was aimed high, targeting Ryaji's neck. A direct hit would be fatal. Water breathing, second form, water wheel. Using the momentum of his spin, Ryaji unleashed the water wheel technique. Enhanced by his ultimate level breathing, the circular water blade expanded significantly, similar to Tanjiro's Hinokamai Kagura Rengoku. The water wheel instantly struck and severed upper rank 3's raised leg. Following the water wheel, Ryaji continued his mid-air spin, plunging his Nichiren blade into the ground, using it as a pivot point to regain his balance in a kneeling stance. Having regained his balance, Ryaji immediately counterattacked. Upper rank 3's leg was severed, and Ryaji had to capitalize on this opportunity. Upper rank 3 attempted to regenerate his leg immediately, but unexpectedly, he couldn't. He quickly regained his composure. He rolled and then used a one-legged hop to create distance. Ryaji, however, pressed his advantage. Water breathing, third form, flowing dance. Ryaji used the flowing current dance's agility to try and get behind upper rank 3. Upper rank 3 anticipated this. His mobility was impaired by the missing leg, forcing him to use his martial arts to repel Ryaji. Destructive Death, final form, blue-silver chaotic afterglow. Destructive Death, final form, blue-silver chaotic afterglow. Upper rank 3's ultimate technique. He summons the snowflake compass beneath his feet and unleashes hundreds of sharp ice blades in all directions. 363, Chapter 363. Destructive Death, final form, blue-silver chaotic afterglow. This technique is similar in nature to Ryaji's water breathing, 12th form. Destructive Death, final form, blue-silver chaotic afterglow. This technique is similar in nature to Ryaji's water breathing, 12th form, dark blade slaughter. Both are defensive counterattacks. However, blue-silver chaotic afterglow has a much wider area of effect. Water breathing, 12th form, dark blade slaughter. Ryaji immediately used dark blade slaughter to create a protective shield of water blades. Despite this protection, Ryaji temporarily abandoned the idea of a decisive attack on upper rank 3. Continuing the attack would be extremely risky, especially with upper rank 3's ice blades. Furthermore, upper rank 3, having only lost a leg, still retained his fighting ability. Pressing too hard would only give him an opportunity. After several exchanges, Ryaji understood that upper rank 3 was exceptionally skilled at seizing opportunities. Therefore, in his current state, Ryaji wouldn't use his usual aggressive style. Protected by dark blade slaughter, Ryaji quickly distanced himself from upper rank 3. However, blue-eyed chaotic residual light was still active, and numerous ice blades shot out from the ice flower compass beneath upper rank 3's feet. Once the water blade shield dissipated, Ryaji relied on agility and precise counterattacks to deflect the incoming ice blades. The derailed train's body was already struck by numerous ice blades, some embedded, others piercing through to the interior. Fortunately, Tanjiro and Zenitsu had already moved the passengers to safety, otherwise, there would have been casualties. Seeing Ryaji forced back, upper rank 3 secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He had almost been defeated. However, upper rank 3 was puzzled. Why was his regeneration suppressed in Ryaji's presence? Why couldn't he immediately regenerate his severed limb at a crucial moment? In a high-level duel, even a brief delay could drastically change the outcome. The previous exchange was a perfect example. If upper rank 3 had been able to regenerate his limb immediately, he would have maintained the initiative. Even facing Ryaji's counterattack, upper rank 3 wouldn't have retreated hastily but would have continued to press his advantage. He understood that his severed leg was Ryaji's opening for victory. In such an intense battle, upper rank 3 lacked the concentration to regenerate, especially with the regeneration suppression. "You're strong. You forced me to use my ultimate technique." Upper rank 3, no longer displaying his previous composure, spoke without his usual smirk. "I want to know if your blade is poisoned. Why can't my wounds regenerate immediately?" Upper rank 3 voiced his question, though he didn't expect an answer. 364, Chapter 364. On the other side, Inashuk relentlessly pursued lower rank 2 into the forest, the distance between them steadily decreasing. Squad 2, Kyo. On the other side, Inashuk relentlessly pursued lower rank 2 into the forest, the distance between them steadily decreasing. Squad 2, Kyojuro, Shinichi Murata, Shinji Murata, Siakairo Sakata, and Kenta Inoue, followed closely, maintaining a distance of 50 meters. Rengoku caught up to Squad 2, appearing before Kyojuro. "You were too reckless, chasing without a second thought. What if you'd walked into an ambush?" "It was Inashuk who wanted to chase, I couldn't just leave him," Kyojuro explained. Kyojuro's decision to pursue stemmed from her concern for Inashuk and her doubt that he could defeat a lower moon of the 12 Kazuki alone. Rengoku didn't rebuke them. "Fine. Since you're here, we can't let it live." Lower rank 2 stopped at a lakeside. Upper rank 1, "I've lured the demon slayer brats here." A figure stood silently on the lake's surface, bathed in the moonlight. The moonlight revealed a person wearing a traditional purple kimono adorned with black patterns, and a long sword at their waist. Their long hair was partially tied back, giving them the air of a wandering swordsman. Despite the long hair, their build suggested they were male. He wasn't very tall, considerably shorter than the hulking lower rank 2, approximately Rengoku's height. Judging from lower rank 2's address, this was upper rank 1. After lower rank 2 finished speaking, upper rank 1 turned around. The most striking feature was the 6 eyes on his face, 3 more than Erlang Shen. 2 eyes were in the normal position, 1 pair on his forehead, and 1 pair on his cheeks. The words upper rank and 1 were inscribed, 1 on each of his normal eyes. Lower rank 2 immediately bowed his head, avoiding upper rank 1's gaze, out of fear and ingrained hierarchical respect. "Retreat for now," upper rank 1 said calmly. Just then, Inashuk arrived at the lakeside, cursing. Seeing lower rank 2 had stopped running, he yelled, "Turtle bastard! Run! Run, and I'll chop your legs off." The moment he finished, Inashuk felt a sudden tightening in his chest, a wave of unease washing over him. He saw a dark figure flash before him, upper rank 1. Upper rank 1 was far more decisive than upper rank 3, immediately swinging his sword towards Inashuk's neck. Inashuk had no time to react, watching upper rank 1's blade approach his neck. 365, Chapter 365. "I'm going to die," Inashuk thought. Then, a flash of fire erupted from the dark forest, followed by a sharp clang of metal. "Flame breathin'. I'm going to die," Inashuk thought. Then, a flash of fire erupted from the dark forest, followed by a sharp clang of metal. "Flame breathing, second form, rising scorching sun." Rengoku arrived just in time, blocking the fatal blow. However, Rengoku's strike didn't deflect upper rank 1's blade. The 2 blades collided, showering sparks as the air vibrated violently. "Get out of the way, you boarhead." Rengoku struggled against upper rank 1, knowing that continued confrontation risked losing his sword. Inashuk, startled by Rengoku's shout, quickly moved aside. Rengoku disengaged, using the angle of his blade to redirect upper rank 1's attack. The blade slid off Rengoku's Nichiren blade, showering sparks before striking the ground at his feet. Rengoku retreated to Inashuk, his expression grave, his eyes filled with shock. "Nishikatsu Tsujikuni!" Rengoku exclaimed, addressing upper rank 1. Inashuk, hearing Rengoku call out upper rank 1's name, asked, "Your friend?" Rengoku shook his head, refusing further explanation. "I'll explain later. Now isn't the time." Squad 2 arrived, joining Rengoku and Inashuk. "Leave immediately and tell Ryaji and the others to retreat," Rengoku ordered, urging them to leave. He had no confidence in defeating upper rank 1. Even if they were evenly matched initially, upper rank 1, as the leader of the 12 Kazuki, possessed a demonic body far superior to a human's, giving him a significant advantage. Demons don't tire, and injuries, short of decapitation, have little effect. Rengoku, however, would be instantly defeated by even a minor injury. This is why Rengoku felt he had little chance of winning. If upper rank 1 was easily defeated, he wouldn't be upper rank 1. Even with a numerical advantage, Inashuk and the others were no match for upper rank 1. They would be instantly killed. Inashuk's near-death experience was a prime example. If Rengoku hadn't arrived and blocked the attack, Inashuk would have been killed without a chance to fight back. Why? Kyojuro hadn't sensed the danger from upper rank 1 and was confused. She assumed that with a Hashira present, there was no danger. 366, Chapter 366. It's an order. Go. Rengoku, unable to offer any explanation at that moment, emphasized the command with extreme intensity. Inashuk was the, "It's an order. Go." Rengoku, unable to offer any explanation at that moment, emphasized the command with extreme intensity. Inashuk was the first to run. Having had a close encounter with upper rank 1, he understood the terrifying power of his opponent. When Rengoku ordered their retreat, Inashuk realized that even the powerful Rengoku had no guarantee of victory. The others, seeing Inashuk turn and run, were somewhat puzzled. He had been the first to want to pursue, and now he was the first to flee. Was this some kind of joke? However, seeing Rengoku's serious expression and urgent tone, the members of Squad 2 didn't ask any further questions and immediately followed Inashuk. Upper rank 1, for the moment, didn't rush to attack. Seeing that his prey had scattered, he ordered lower rank 2 to intercept them. Lower rank 2 immediately gave chase. Rengoku, noticing this, attempted to intervene, buying Inashuk and the others more time to escape. However, upper rank 1 had already anticipated Rengoku's move. The instant Rengoku shifted his weight, upper rank 1 was already before him, swinging his sword without hesitation. "You should worry about yourself," upper rank 1 said coldly. Rengoku immediately drew his blade to defend, and the two clashed. Nishikatsu Tsujikuni. Why? As one of the original demon slayers, why did you become a demon? Rengoku roared his question at upper rank 1. As Rengoku stated, upper rank 1 was indeed one of the earliest demon slayers to fight against demons. Even as a human, his strength was extraordinary. Now, as a demon, it was even more formidable. Rengoku had learned about upper rank 1 from the Demon Slayer Corps' historical records. He never imagined he would actually encounter this figure from history. Upper rank 1 didn't respond to Rengoku's question. Instead, he seized the opportunity to kick Rengoku away, then said, "Mishikatsu Tsujikuni is a thing of the past. Before you stands the upper rank 1 of the 12 Kazuki, Kokushibo." Kokushibo seemed to have completely abandoned his past, presenting himself solely as upper rank 1 of the 12 Kazuki. Hearing this, Rengoku clutched his chest, calming the turmoil within, and then demanded, "Kokushibo, even after becoming a demon, don't you feel shame for betraying the Tsujikuni family name? Afraid of bringing dishonor to the Tsujikuni family? If so, why did you do it in the first place?" Rengoku's question, knowing that Mishikatsu Tsujikuni had changed his name, was laced with sarcasm. Afterward, Rengoku chuckled lightly. "That's right. You no longer deserve the Tsujikuni name." Kokushibo was unmoved by Rengoku's words, as he no longer cared about his past self or anything related to the Tsujikuni family. Moon breathing, first form, dark moon, evening palace. Kokushibo, showing no interest in continuing the conversation, closed in on Rengoku, immediately launching his breathing technique. 367, Chapter 367. Moon breathing is a variant of sun breathing. Kokushibo, he couldn't master the sun breathing, he had to abandon sun breathing. During a full moon breathing is a variant of sun breathing. Kokushibo, he couldn't master the sun breathing, he had to abandon sun breathing. During a full moon, Kokushibo, using his knowledge of sun breathing, developed moon breathing, a contrasting variant. When Kokushibo was still Mishikatsu Tsujikuni, one of the earliest users of breathing techniques, the techniques were not as diverse as they are now. There was only one breathing technique at that time, sun breathing. Therefore, sun breathing was the original technique. The 5 other major breathing styles were later created by other talented individuals based on sun breathing. Sun breathing was extremely difficult to master, resulting in very few demon slayers possessing it. The emergence of sun breathing made the demon slayer core incredibly powerful. This brings us to another individual, Yoriaki Tsujikuni. Yoriaki Tsujikuni was the founder of sun breathing, Kokushibo's twin brother, and a prodigy favored by fate. Over 400 years ago, Yoriaki's birth revolutionized the demon slayer core. He was the most promising candidate to defeat Muzan Kibatsuji, but the mission failed due to Kokushibo's betrayal. From that point, Kokushibo, using Muzan Kibatsuji's blood, abandoned his humanity, becoming a demon and a powerful subordinate of Muzan Kibatsuji. Muzan Kibatsuji, during that battle, was left with an indelible trauma and experienced the terror of sun breathing firsthand. If not for Kokushibo's betrayal, Muzan Kibatsuji would have died at Yoriaki's hands. After his escape, Muzan Kibatsuji, with the help of Kokushibo, ruthlessly suppressed sun-breathing users, explaining why no sun-breathing users exist in the Demon Slayer core today. Yoriaki Tsujikuni disappeared after that battle. That, however, is a story for another time. Muzan Kibatsuji became extremely cautious and cunning, and influenced by Kokushibo, established the 12 Kazuki as his loyal protectors. As Kokushibo unleashed his breathing style, Rengoku saw numerous crescent-shaped blades in his sword's trajectory. Flame breathing, third form, blazing universe. Flame breathing, third form, blazing universe. The user swings their sword downwards, creating a powerful fan-shaped wave of flames. The blade also reaches extremely high temperatures, increasing the power of subsequent strikes. As Rengoku unleashed the blazing universe, his Nichiren blade glowed red-hot. The wide fan of flames engulfed Kokushibo. 368, Chapter 368. Engulfed in flames, Kokushibo instantly became a fiery figure, burning from head to toe. However, the flames only managed to burn away Koku's. Engulfed in flames, Kokushibo instantly became a fiery figure, burning from head to toe. However, the flames only managed to burn away Kokushibo's clothing and hair, posing absolutely no threat to him. Of course, Rengoku's aim wasn't simply to burn Kokushibo, he also sought to increase the power of his Nichiren blade to better withstand Kokushibo's attacks. Then, with a clang, Rengoku's and Kokushibo's blades collided once more. This time, the sparks were even more dazzling in the darkness. The sparks that flew from Rengoku's Nichiren blade suddenly converged, gathering around the blade to form a dancing fire phoenix. The phoenix swirled violently, instantly shattering the sharp, crescent-shaped blades. In this exchange, Rengoku had a slight advantage. Ignoring the flames burning on his body, Kokushibo exerted tremendous force, his demonic blade pressing against the edge of Rengoku's Nichiren blade. With a powerful horizontal slash, he cleanly severed a portion of Rengoku's blade. The force of the blow sent Rengoku stumbling backward several steps. Simultaneously, Kokushibo's entire body trembled. An invisible energy wave surged from his body, causing violent fluctuations in the surrounding air. A fierce wind, originating from Kokushibo, blew outwards in all directions. Immediately afterward, the flames burning on Kokushibo's body were completely extinguished. The entire exchange between Rengoku and Kokushibo lasted only 3 or 4 seconds. Therefore, the flames hadn't significantly burned Kokushibo, he only suffered some noticeable burns on his skin. The burns vanished in an instant, thanks to Kokushibo's powerful regenerative abilities, restoring his skin to its original state. His burned hair also instantly regrew, leaving Kokushibo with flowing locks. Moon breathing, 6th form, perpetual night, lonely. Moon breathing, 6th form, perpetual night, lonely. Kokushibo performs a series of rapid, crisscrossing slashes at a specific point. As the sword energy rushes towards his opponent, it is accompanied by a flurry of rapidly spinning crescent blades. This technique is remarkably similar to Ryaji's continuous water blade attacks, although Ryaji utilizes water blade energy, resulting in a different visual form. Having extinguished the flames on his body, Kokushibo immediately launched another attack on Rengoku, seemingly unwilling to give him even a moment's respite. As Rengoku regained his footing, he saw dense sword energy, accompanied by countless spinning crescent blades, rushing towards him. Rengoku responded with slow, deliberate movements of his Nichiren blade, rhythmically drawing circles in front of him. Flame breathing, 4th form, blooming flame undulation. Flame breathing, 4th form, blooming flame undulation. The flame breathing user, centering themselves, uses their Nichiren blade to manipulate the rhythmic flow of their breath, creating a dense, swirling vortex of sharp flames in front of them. This vortex acts as a strong, offensive defense. Kokushibo's dense wave of sword energy then collided with Rengoku's swirling wall of flames. 369, Chapter 369. Despite the protection of the blazing vortex, Rengoku was gradually pushed back by Kokushibo's sword energy. As time passed, Rengoku felt high. Despite the protection of the blazing vortex, Rengoku was gradually pushed back by Kokushibo's sword energy. As time passed, Rengoku felt himself weakening. Kokushibo had already damaged most of the flames in the vortex. It wouldn't hold much longer. Sure enough, the next moment, the blazing vortex completely collapsed, shattering into fragments. Rengoku's body weakened, nearly causing him to kneel. He managed to support himself with his Nichiren blade, sinking into a half-squat. Maintaining the blazing vortex had exhausted Rengoku, and its collapse caused a significant backlash. He was unable to immediately use another technique or dodge. The dense sword energy struck Rengoku, inflicting numerous wounds, and blood sprayed outwards. Rengoku collapsed to the ground, blood flowing from his many wounds. His white haori, adorned with flame patterns, was now stained crimson. Fortunately, Kokushibo's perpetual night, lonely, interminable technique had reached its limit, and his attack ceased shortly after. A full barrage of that attack would have undoubtedly resulted in Rengoku's demise. Rengoku quickly used his breathing to stanch the bleeding from his most severe wounds. Due to the sheer number of injuries, he couldn't stop the bleeding from every wound immediately. Gritting his teeth, Rengoku pushed himself up, supporting himself with his Nichiren blade. Kokushibo, however, gave Rengoku no chance to recover. Seizing upon Rengoku's injuries, he closed in, his demonic blade aimed at Rengoku's heart. Perhaps intending to leave Rengoku a whole corpse, Kokushibo didn't aim for a decapitating strike. Seeing Kokushibo's blade rapidly approaching, Rengoku braced himself for death. However, he wasn't willing to die so easily. A death-defying struggle against Kokushibo would be the best possible outcome. Rengoku prepared for a desperate, suicidal attack. Flame breathing, 5th form, Flame Tiger. Flame breathing, 5th form, Flame Tiger. This is a thrusting technique. The flame-breathing user uses their weapon to deliver a powerful thrust, like a tiger's bite to the neck. Rengoku's exertion, despite his injuries, caused a fresh surge of blood from his wounds. Fierce flames erupted from Rengoku's body, forming a massive, ferocious tiger. The fiery tiger opened its jaws, unleashing a deafening roar. The next moment, Rengoku's Nichiren blade collided with Kokushibo's demonic blade, unleashing a tremendous energy shockwave. Rengoku endured the shockwave, blood pouring from his 7 orifices, mouth, nose, eyes, and ears. Then, the massive fiery tiger lunged, sinking its teeth into Kokushibo's sword arm. Crack! A sharp sound echoed as Kokushibo's demonic blade shattered, and Rengoku's Nichiren blade pressed forward, aimed at Kokushibo. 370, Chapter 370. I've suppressed your powerful demonic regeneration. Are you perhaps afraid? Ryaji said calmly to upper rank 3. Not exactly afraid, Bu. I've suppressed your powerful demonic regeneration. Are you perhaps afraid? Ryaji said calmly to upper rank 3. Not exactly afraid, but I'm curious about your methods, upper rank 3 replied. Ryaji didn't bother explaining. Just consider it poison. Honestly, with your abilities, it's a shame you're not a demon. Humans can't maintain peak condition forever as they age, but demons can, upper rank 3 said regretfully. During their conversation, upper rank 3's severed leg slowly regenerated. Ryaji knew upper rank 3 was stalling to regenerate his leg. Ryaji, in turn, was secretly healing his injured right arm using wood breathing. Once his leg had fully regenerated, a smile returned to upper rank 3's face. Ryaji switched his Nichiren blade from his left hand to his right, causing upper rank 3's smile to freeze. Had Ryaji's right arm not been injured at all? If not, why had he been fighting with his left hand? Seeing upper rank 3's surprise, Ryaji said playfully, don't assume only demons can rapidly recover from injuries. I can do it too. Upper rank 3 was even more surprised, suspecting Ryaji was bluffing. Even if Ryaji was telling the truth, upper rank 3 believed Ryaji must have some special method, and his injuries couldn't be too severe. Oh really? Why don't you cut off an arm and regenerate it to prove it? Upper rank 3 taunted Ryaji. Ryaji wouldn't do that. Even if he could reconnect a severed arm with Wood Breath's energy, complete regeneration would take days of continuous healing. At that moment, however, a broadcast from the hyperdimensional transmigration system echoed in Ryaji's mind. New mission activated. Mission, save Rengoku Kyojuro, who is about to be killed. Mission completion reward, obtain flame breathing, ultimate technique, obtain flame breathing forms. Mission failure penalty, none. Countdown, 60 seconds. The system broadcast finished, and a minimap appeared, showing a flashing red dot. Upon seeing the system message, Ryaji's expression changed drastically. If Rengoku Kyojuro was in danger, Ina shook and the others were surely in danger as well. While Upper Rank 3 wondered about Ryaji's sudden change in expression, Ryaji activated his Oni form and vanished. Upper Rank 3 hadn't expected Ryaji's sudden and urgent retreat, and became even more suspicious. Seeing Ryaji run towards the forest, Upper Rank 3 wondered if his plan had been discovered. Confused, Upper Rank 3 immediately gave chase. If Tanjiro were present, Upper Rank 3 would have taken advantage of Ryaji's retreat to kill Tanjiro before rejoining Upper Rank 1. Fortunately, Tanjiro and Zenitsu had already evacuated the train passengers during Ryaji and Upper Rank 3's battle. Otherwise, Ryaji would have been in a difficult situation. If Tanjiro and Zenitsu were still there, Ryaji's retreat would have left them vulnerable to Upper Rank 3. If Ryaji hadn't retreated, Rengoku would have been in danger. Even if Tanjiro and Zenitsu were ordered to retreat, their speed wouldn't match Ryaji's. Without Ryaji's distraction, Tanjiro and Zenitsu would have difficulty escaping Upper Rank 3. But if Ryaji stayed to create a distraction, he would lose the chance to rescue Rengoku. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 371, Chapter 371. After shattering Kokushibo's demonic blade, Rengoku's thrust continued towards Kokushibo's arm. Knowing this wouldn't kill him, Rengoku it. After shattering Kokushibo's demonic blade, Rengoku's thrust continued towards Kokushibo's arm. Knowing this wouldn't kill him, Rengoku attempted to redirect the attack towards Kokushibo's neck. However, the immense momentum made altering the attack's trajectory incredibly difficult, especially for such a powerful, focused thrust. The attack veered slightly, missing the neck but striking the area below the neck, near the shoulder blade. Kokushibo's upper body clothing was instantly incinerated, revealing his powerful physique. While large and imposing, Kokushibo, like Ina shook, possessed well-defined muscles. The area where the Nichiren blade struck was carbonized by the intense heat. If the blow had landed on Kokushibo's neck, it might have been fatal. Of course, this is purely hypothetical, and Kokushibo would never allow his neck to be exposed. Even if Rengoku had struck his neck, it's possible the blade wouldn't have pierced it. Therefore, no one could predict the outcome of such a hypothetical scenario. Moon Breathing, 5th Form, Moon Spirit Calamitous Eddy. Moon Breathing, 5th Form, Moon Spirit Calamitous Eddy. This is Kokushibo's defensive counterattack technique, which can be used without drawing his sword. By spinning his body, he generates a powerful vortex of wind blades that cut and throw away nearby opponents. These wind blades are also adorned with rapidly spinning crescent blades. Kokushibo's Moon Spirit Calamitous Eddy is very similar to Ryaji's Dark Blade Slaughter, both creating protective blade energy. However, Ryaji's Dark Blade Slaughter requires a blade weapon, while Kokushibo only needs to rapidly spin his body. Another difference lies in the range. Kokushibo's vortex of wind blades has an extremely wide area of effect, extending 10 meters in all directions from his body. Ryaji's Dark Blade Slaughter doesn't have such a wide range. Its water blade energy only forms a protective layer around him, lacking the offensive power of Kokushibo's Moon Spirit Calamitous Eddy. The water blades only attack if an opponent actively makes contact. Therefore, Dark Blade Slaughter is better suited for defending against wide-ranging attacks, such as Upper Rank 3's Destructive Death, Final Form, Blue-Silver Chaotic Afterglow, or even Kokushibo's Moon Breathing, 5th Form, Moon Spirit Calamitous Eddy. As Kokushibo spun, the carbonized area of his shoulder blade shattered and broke, separating his right arm from his body. The arm fell to the ground. Rengoku, having no strength left for attack or evasion, was struck by the massive vortex of wind blades. He was cut, thrown back, and sent flying. As Kokushibo continued to spin, more wind blades rapidly spread outwards. In midair, Rengoku was cut by these wind blades and the numerous rapidly spinning crescent blades embedded within them, leaving him with numerous bleeding wounds. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 372, Chapter 372. The wind blades and crescent blades were incredibly sharp. As Rengoku flew backward, one hand and one leg were severed, a truly brutal scene. Rengoku was incredibly lucky that the blades hadn't struck his head or torso. If those areas had been struck, even a god couldn't have saved him. Rengoku finally crashed to the ground, near death. Even if his limbs hadn't been severed by Kokushibo's moon spirit calamitous eddy, he would have been completely incapacitated. The Flame Tiger attack had been a life-burning strike. While highly effective, it had also been the final straw that broke him. Lying on the ground, blood continuously flowed from Rengoku's mouth. He could feel his life rapidly ebbing away. Even without a finishing blow, he wouldn't last much longer. Looking at the high-hanging moon, Rengoku felt no pain, only warmth spreading through his body. This warmth was actually caused by the blood flowing from his wounds. Kokushibo's moon spirit calamitous eddy quickly ended. He stood upright, appearing unscathed, the only evidence of the fierce battle being his carbonized and severed arm. The severed arm didn't hinder Kokushibo, thanks to the powerful regenerative abilities of demons. Unless decapitated by a Nichiren blade, even dismemberment would heal completely. This was the power of demons, a power unmatched by humans. Kokushibo didn't immediately deliver a finishing blow. He sensed Rengoku's life rapidly fading. Rengoku had no chance of fighting back, and death was inevitable, even without a final strike. Kokushibo, standing motionless, transformed his left arm into a sharp blade. He then severed the carbonized tissue from his broken arm, and a new arm rapidly regenerated. Because the carbonized tissue was difficult to regenerate, Kokushibo chose to discard it and regenerate a new arm. Fully restored, Kokushibo slowly approached the fallen Rengoku, his left arm now a blade, seemingly preparing to deliver the final blow. Reaching Rengoku, Kokushibo said, "Since you don't want to die whole, I'll just take your head." With that, Kokushibo swung his blade towards Rengoku's neck. Rengoku, too weak to speak, could only watch as Kokushibo's blade descended. At that critical moment, a black shadow appeared before Kokushibo. The shadow solidified, revealing a bizarre-looking creature with dark purple hair and a dark purple blade. The creature struck Kokushibo's blade arm. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 373, Chapter 373. The suddenly appearing monster was Ryaji in his Oni form. His appearance was far more terrifying than Kokushibo's 6 eyes. Ryaji resembled. The suddenly appearing monster was Ryaji in his Oni form. His appearance was far more terrifying than Kokushibo's 6 eyes. Ryaji resembled a creature from hell, radiating dark purple demonic energy. Ryaji's timely arrival was thanks to the shadow clone technique obtained from a lower-rank demon, allowing him to swap places with his shadow within a 100-meter radius. Rengoku didn't immediately recognize Ryaji. Ryaji's aura was not his usual one but that of a demon, hindering Rengoku's judgment. If not for recognizing Ryaji's clothing, Rengoku wouldn't have connected the creature before him to Ryaji. Ryu-ji. Rengoku's voice was barely audible. Kokushibo, staring at this monstrous figure, even more horrifying than himself, was puzzled. "Who are you?" he asked because Kokushibo sensed neither human nor demon energy from Ryaji in his Oni form, leading him to believe Ryaji was something beyond both. "The one who will kill you," Ryaji replied coldly, his arm thrusting forward, his Nichiren blade pressing down forcefully. Kokushibo, weaker than Ryaji in Oni form, was forced backward. Kokushibo's expression turned serious, surprised by this suddenly encountered, superior opponent. Over the years, Kokushibo had killed many Hashira, the strongest of the Demon Slayer Corps, and had never taken them seriously. Yet, facing Ryaji, his usual calm demeanor had turned serious. Even during his battle with Rengoku, Kokushibo hadn't shown such seriousness, remaining calm throughout, as if fighting a Hashira were as simple as eating a meal. Overwhelmed by Ryaji's power, Kokushibo temporarily retreated. The moment Kokushibo disengaged, Ryaji's Nichiren blade slammed into the ground. The demonic energy from the blade manifested as a pitch-black energy wave, carving a deep gash in the earth. Having forced Kokushibo back, Ryaji turned to Rengoku. Upon seeing Ryaji, Rengoku's expression was one of utter shock. The horrifying monster before him was a far cry from the refined and elegant Ryaji he knew. Ryaji's Oni form wasn't ugly, but terrifying and ferocious. Rengoku wanted to ask who he was, but his condition prevented him from speaking. Ryaji wasn't surprised by Rengoku's shock, it was natural. In this form, Rengoku wouldn't recognize him. Sensing Rengoku's rapidly fading life force, Ryaji knew he didn't have much time. Even if he retreated with Rengoku now, Kokushibo and Upper Rank 3 would surely pursue them. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 374, Chapter 374. Rengoku's condition clearly wouldn't allow him to survive long enough for Ryaji to escape with him from Kokushibo and Upper Rank 3. If Rengoku's condition clearly wouldn't allow him to survive long enough for Ryaji to escape with him from Kokushibo and Upper Rank 3. If Rengoku's injuries were less severe, a tactical retreat would have been a wise choice. A commotion in the trees behind Ryaji signaled Upper Rank 3's arrival. He stood beside Kokushibo, startled by Ryaji's transformation. He almost thought he'd pursued the wrong target. If not for Ryaji's unchanged clothing, Upper Rank 3 would have thought he'd lost him. Ryaji's monstrous transformation greatly surprised Upper Rank 3, leading him to suspect Ryaji might be a monster disguised as a human. Seeing Upper Rank 3, Kokushibo asked, "Akaza, have you finished there?" Akaza, Upper Rank 3, shook his head and pointed at Ryaji. "That monster is the white-haired kid who killed the lower ranks." Kokushibo understood and reprimanded Akaza. "Then why did you let him get here? Even if he's as strong as a Hashira, couldn't you handle a single Hashira?" Akaza showed no fear of Kokushibo, calmly replying, "That kid is incredibly strange, as you should know. I saw you forced back by him." Akaza's arrival made the situation even more difficult for Ryaji. Despite his Oni form, he was facing two powerful upper ranks. Kokushibo's ability to withstand one of Ryaji's attacks demonstrated that a C-rank Oni devourer couldn't easily overpower an upper-rank demon. It was barely a 60-40th split. Therefore, one of Kokushibo and Akaza could hold Ryaji back while the other finished off Rengoku, then they could combine forces to deal with Ryaji. This was Ryaji's assessment. If Kokushibo and Akaza chose this strategy, Ryaji would be in a dire situation, as protecting Rengoku was his mission. Thinking this, Ryaji retrieved the time rewind hourglass from his hyperdimensional transmigration system's inventory. Ryaji intended to use the hourglass to rewind time to a point before Rengoku was severely injured. Since he wasn't affected by the time rewind, he could remain by Rengoku's side. The time rewind hourglass couldn't rewind the entire world's time, only the time within a 1,000-meter radius. After taking out the hourglass, Ryaji pressed a button. Time instantly froze, and he flipped the hourglass. As the time sand flowed, time reversed. Rengoku, Kokushibo, and Akaza replayed their actions in reverse. Ryaji marveled at the hourglass's power. It was truly incredible. Rengoku was truly the first person to have his fate rewritten. Time quickly rewound to the moment Kokushibo's moon-breathing, sixth form, perpetual night, lonely, interminable, broke through Rengoku's flame-breathing, fourth form, blooming flame undulation. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 375, Chapter 375. At the point in time Ryaji rewound to, Akaza was already outside the time rewind's range, thus unaffected by it. Akaza's memory also reset T. At the point in time Ryaji rewound to, Akaza was already outside the time rewind's range, thus unaffected by it. Akaza's memory also reset to the moment he escaped the time rewind. He was completely unaware of the events that had just transpired. He only knew he was pursuing Ryaji, who had inexplicably vanished, leaving no trace, as if he had disappeared from existence. Akaza assumed Ryaji had hidden his presence and intended to continue the pursuit. However, as he moved, he was violently thrown back by a powerful force. This force was the time barrier generated by the time rewind hourglass. Although Akaza was outside the hourglass's direct range, Ryaji's hourglass was still active, creating a time barrier field. As long as the hourglass remained active, the barrier would persist, preventing any life form outside the field from entering. Akaza crashed heavily into a tree, his head spinning from the effects of the temporal energy. Forcibly breaking the barrier would have resulted in even more severe repercussions. Akaza would have been annihilated by the temporal currents. However, a being of Akaza's level was incapable of breaking the time barrier, even Muzan Kibutsuji wouldn't have been able to. Akaza touched his head, even more puzzled. He reached out, slowly feeling his way forward, and encountered an invisible barrier about 10 meters away. Shortly after his hand made contact, the barrier's energy pulsed again, though much weaker this time. The pulse only repelled Akaza's hands from the barrier, as if actively resisting his touch. The time barrier was utterly perplexing to Akaza. He had never encountered such a supernatural phenomenon. Could it have been created by Ryaji, as a delaying tactic? Akaza mentally linked the barrier to Ryaji, finding the connection logical. After all, Ryaji was exceptionally unusual and couldn't be judged by conventional means. Akaza assumed a fighting stance, preparing to attack and break through the time barrier. This was an incredibly foolish decision, as the more fiercely he attacked the barrier, the greater the retaliatory force would be. While Akaza correctly believed Ryaji was involved, the barrier was, in fact, an inherent effect of the activated time rewind hourglass. Destructive death, annihilation type. Akaza unleashed an incredibly powerful punch, causing the surrounding air to rupture and creating a massive whirlwind. His fist slammed into the time barrier. The invisible barrier distorted slightly, then a far more powerful recoil surged back through Akaza's fist. The force instantly reduced his arm to ash, and the damage spread to half his chest, which also turned to ash. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 376, Chapter 376. After the terrifying recoil from the time barrier, Akaza stood stunned, his face etched with disbelief. He wondered if the force had complete. After the terrifying recoil from the time barrier, Akaza stood stunned, his face etched with disbelief. He wondered if the force had completely destroyed him, whether regeneration would even be possible. After a long moment of terror, Akaza slowly regained his composure. He dared not attack the time barrier again. Akaza had roughly determined that the barrier wasn't actively offensive, only retaliatory. As long as he didn't attack, he would be safe. Unable to break the barrier, Akaza explored the area, discovering the barrier's immense size, seemingly encompassing the area where Kokushibo was waiting in ambush. Akaza knew Kokushibo was nearby, not just from the lingering memory of their planned meeting. Damn it! That brat used some kind of sorcery to block me. Akaza was furious. In his anger, he instinctively kicked at the barrier, only to find his foot passing through empty air. He stumbled, nearly falling. This unexpected result startled Akaza. He reached out to touch the barrier again, only to find it had vanished. Akaza stepped forward, confirming the barrier's disappearance, and felt a surge of relief. He sensed the intense battle nearby and immediately rushed towards it at full speed. The time barrier's disappearance indicated that Ryaji had rewound time to his desired point. After Ryaji used the time rewind hourglass, it shattered into fragments, then turned to ash, completely dissipating. Ryaji's incredible artifact, used to save Rengoku, was now gone. He wondered if future missions would offer such powerful items again. Time resumed at the moment Rengoku's blooming flame undulation was broken. Ryaji stood before Rengoku, prepared to take the blow for him. Rengoku and Kokushibo were both astonished by Ryaji's sudden appearance. Neither had noticed him approach. Ryaji saw Kokushibo's incoming attack, a barrage of energy blades with rapidly spinning crescent blades, and swiftly used his Nichiren blade to destroy them all. In his Oni form, Ryaji easily countered Kokushibo's perpetual night, lonely, interminable. Kokushibo's entire attack ended without posing any threat to Ryaji, who hadn't even moved. Kokushibo immediately questioned Ryaji. "Who are you?" As before, Kokushibo was filled with uncertainty about Ryaji's Oni form. "I am the one who will kill you," Ryaji replied, echoing his previous statement. "Then you are my enemy. But many have sought my life, and all have fallen by my blade. Your fate will be no different." Having not directly clashed with Ryaji, Kokushibo felt no fear, only arrogance. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 377, Chapter 377. The time barrier vanished, and Akaza quickly arrived where Ryaji, Rengoku, and Kokushibo were. Kokushibo, seeing Akaza, questioned him. The time barrier vanished, and Akaza quickly arrived where Ryaji, Rengoku, and Kokushibo were. Kokushibo, seeing Akaza, questioned him, his words identical to those before the time rewind. However, the situation was drastically different. Rengoku wasn't mortally wounded but still capable of fighting. No, that kid is the monster standing before us now, Akaza replied. Kokushibo looked at Ryaji in his Oni form and yelled, useless. You couldn't even handle a single brat. I think it's time to remove you from the upper ranks. Akaza, though deeply irritated, dared not show it. Oh, you're so great, so powerful. Then how come that flame Hashira is still alive? Akaza silently mocked Kokushibo. Sensing Akaza's thoughts, Kokushibo's face darkened. If you hadn't failed to restrain that brat, giving him the chance to intervene, that flame Hashira would already be dead. Akaza felt a pang of guilt and quickly explained, that kid is incredibly strange. He used some method to seal off an area, preventing me from pursuing him. Kokushibo coldly glared at Akaza, dismissing his words as weak excuses. Since you couldn't handle that brat, go deal with the flame Hashira. Let's see if you're truly incompetent or if that brat is truly that monstrous. Kokushibo didn't dwell on Akaza's failure. The priority was eliminating Ryaji and Rengoku, then clearing out the remaining, insignificant Demon Slayer Corps members. Meanwhile, Ryaji, who had saved Rengoku using the time rewind hourglass, didn't receive a mission completion announcement. This clearly indicated that Rengoku's ordeal wasn't over. Danger still loomed. Ryaji, is that you? Rengoku, having regained his breath, asked. Ryaji's aura was strange, and his voice, hair color, and hair length were different. If not for the familiar clothing and sword at his hip, Rengoku wouldn't have recognized him. It's me. But be prepared, I'm not quite myself right now, Ryaji said, turning to Rengoku. Seeing Ryaji's appearance, Rengoku shuddered, his face filled with terror. Now's not the time for shock. What about the others? Ryaji ignored Rengoku's shock and asked. Rengoku suppressed his shock. They've retreated, but they're being pursued by lower ranks. Ryaji was relieved. With Inashuk and Kyojuro, even if escape was impossible, dealing with lower ranks wouldn't be difficult. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 378. Chapter 378. What about Tanjiro? Rengoku asked, concerned about his stepson, especially since Tanjiro was injured. Ryaji's arrival was unexpected. Prom. What about Tanjiro? Rengoku asked, concerned about his stepson, especially since Tanjiro was injured. Ryaji's arrival was unexpected, prompting Rengoku's worry. Akaza hadn't been defeated, so Ryaji wouldn't normally come to his aid. Rengoku was puzzled by Ryaji's intervention. Tanjiro and Zenitsu evacuated the train passengers. You were delayed here, and I sensed something might have gone wrong, so I came to check, Ryaji explained briefly. Rengoku was relieved this explanation made sense. While Ryaji and Rengoku spoke, Kokushibo and Akaza had already finished their conversation. They gave Ryaji and Rengoku no time to continue, launching themselves at them with full force. Ryaji and Rengoku immediately stopped talking and drew their blades. The battle intensified, the combined energy creating a massive shockwave. The ground around them cracked and slightly subsided. Even the calm lake behind them was churned into massive waves. Moon breathing, sixth form, perpetual night, lonely moon. Destructive death, annihilation type. Flame breathing, fifth form, flame tiger. Oni breathing, demon slayer chain slash. Ryaji, in his Oni form, could only use Oni power to mimic water breathing, first form, modified surface slash chain. Enhanced by Oni power, Ryaji's attacks had corrosive properties, a nightmare for demons. Rengoku, unable to withstand the onslaught, spat out a mouthful of blood. Seeing Rengoku falter, Ryaji swung his Nichiren blade at Akaza's arm, severing it cleanly. Kokushibo seized this opportunity to launch a decisive attack. He leaped, his demonic blade suddenly lengthening, sprouting numerous secondary blades like branches from a tree trunk. Moon breathing, 8th form, Moondragon Ringtail. Moon breathing, 8th form, Moondragon Ringtail. Kokushibo unleashed a wide-ranging, powerful horizontal slash, sweeping everything before it like a dragon's tail. The attack targeted Ryaji's neck. With a violent swing, a massive purple crescent blade swept forward, decapitating Akaza before hurtling towards Ryaji and Rengoku. This showed Kokushibo didn't care about harming his allies. Get down! Ryaji shouted to Rengoku. Ryaji covered himself in Oni power and attempted to grab the massive purple crescent blade. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 379. Chapter 379. Rengoku felt the immense power of Kokushibo's attack. It was impossible to withstand. His only option was to dodge. As Ryaji finished speaking, Rengoku felt the immense power of Kokushibo's attack. It was impossible to withstand. His only option was to dodge. As Ryaji finished speaking, Rengoku threw himself to the ground. Rengoku expected Ryaji to do the same, but instead, Ryaji stood firm, using his body and arms to block Kokushibo's killing blow. Rengoku watched, speechless, as Ryaji caught the massive purple crescent blade. Ryaji shuddered, sliding back a short distance. The massive blade was an energy construct created by Kokushibo's swing, meaning Ryaji was actually gripping Kokushibo's enhanced demonic blade. Taking the blow directly put an immense strain on Ryaji's body. If not for the enhanced strength of his Oni form, this would have been suicidal. Arg! Ryaji roared in fury, his fangs bared, his appearance even more terrifying. The dark energy emanating from him intensified, the manifestation of his burning Oni power. Kokushibo was shocked that his attack had been blocked. Dodging would have been less surprising, but a direct interception was terrifying. Though the attack was blocked, the sheer power of Kokushibo's moon dragon's tail was overwhelming. Ryaji couldn't absorb all the attack's energy. He absorbed only about 50%, with the remaining 50% spreading behind him. Once the attack's energy dissipated, a swathe of trees behind Ryaji were cut down. Akaza's severed head witnessed Ryaji's feat, his expression mirroring the shock. However, he quickly realized this outcome was beneficial. It proved his failure wasn't his fault but due to Ryaji's extraordinary abilities. Because Akaza's head wasn't severed by a Nichiren blade or Ryaji's Nichiren blade, he wouldn't die. However, Akaza couldn't comprehend what was happening to his severed arm. He felt a corrosive force, causing an unprecedented level of pain. He tried to regenerate his arm, but it remained unresponsive. Akaza realized this was due to the corrosive force, which he sensed was slowly spreading throughout his body. Despite his efforts, he couldn't remove the force. This was unlike before, when his regeneration was merely suppressed. Now, his abilities were completely nullified. In terror, Akaza noticed that his head wasn't affected by the corrosive force because Kokushibo's attack had severed it instantly. Thus, Akaza's head and body were separated. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 380, Chapter 380. Unbeknownst to him, Kokushibo's attack inadvertently saved Akaza from the corrosive effects. Realizing his original body was effectively ruined. Unbeknownst to him, Kokushibo's attack inadvertently saved Akaza from the corrosive effects. Realizing his original body was effectively ruined, Akaza chose not to reattach his head but instead regenerated a completely new body. While the discarded body lost its regenerative abilities, it remained under Akaza's control. Akaza used this headless, armless corpse to attack Rengoku. Ryaji, still battling Kokushibo, couldn't immediately assist Rengoku. However, seeing Akaza abandon his original body, Ryaji quickly deduced the reason and advised Rengoku, that headless body can't regenerate. Severing its limbs will incapacitate it. Rengoku rolled, rising to his feet, momentarily unsure of Ryaji's meaning. Akaza and his second body had already surrounded Rengoku and launched a simultaneous attack. Destructive Death, Leg Type, Explosive Flurry. Since the second body only possessed one left arm, Akaza relied on leg techniques instead of punches. Destructive Death, Leg Type, Explosive Flurry. Akaza unleashed a series of lightning-fast kicks, each strike like a flash of lightning, disrupting the target's vision while simultaneously attacking. Flame Breathing, 6th Form, Flame Explosion. Flame Breathing, 6th Form, Flame Explosion. The flame-breathing user spins while unleashing a charged slash. The blade ignites in flames, forming a fire dragon that rapidly coils around them, damaging nearby enemies. With the flame explosion, a massive fire coiled around Rengoku, acting as a protective guardian, its movement synchronized with Rengoku's spins and blade path. Since Destructive Death, Leg Type, Explosive Flurry, lacked the power of Destructive Death, Annihilation style, Rengoku easily countered it. Furthermore, Rengoku's flame-breathing, 6th Form, Flame Explosion, proved superior to Akaza's Shattering Needle, Destructive Death, Leg Type, Explosive Flurry, much like Destructive Death, Annihilation style surpassed Flame Breathing, 5th Form, Flame Tiger. Rengoku used the flame explosion to sever Akaza's attacking leg. Akaza immediately distanced himself from Rengoku and instantly regenerated the severed limb. This further solidified Akaza's understanding Ryaji could suppress, or even completely negate, a demon's regenerative abilities. Akaza found himself unexpectedly fearing Ryaji. He only feared Muzan Kibutsuji. No other being, not even Kokushibo, had ever instilled such fear. Seeing Akaza's main body retreat, Rengoku focused his attack on the headless corpse, swiftly dismembering it. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 381, Chapter 381. While Rengoku and Akaza battled, Ryaji and Kokushibo engaged in a struggle of strength. Kokushibo tried to retrieve his demonic blade, but While Rengoku and Akaza battled, Ryaji and Kokushibo engaged in a struggle of strength. Kokushibo tried to retrieve his demonic blade, but its extraordinary length was firmly gripped in Ryaji's hands. No matter what Kokushibo did, he couldn't reclaim his blade. Seeing Kokushibo's stubborn refusal to let go, Ryaji, holding the blade's hilt, swung it like a hammer, slamming it into the ground. Kokushibo, like a nail caught in a hammer, was driven into the earth, only his upper body visible. While this attack didn't significantly harm Kokushibo, he felt deeply insulted. As Ryaji prepared to continue his game, Kokushibo snapped his blade, then slammed his hand on the ground, forcing himself free. Seeing Kokushibo break his blade, Ryaji snapped the remaining piece in two and tossed it aside. Kokushibo's 6 eyes burned with fury. This was the angriest he'd been since becoming a demon. The broken blade's severed end regenerated, as if alive. Forged from Kokushibo's flesh and blood, the blade was covered in numerous eyes, a truly monstrous sight. Even if shattered, Kokushibo could easily recreate it. "You are indeed strong, but this time, you won't survive," Kokushibo conceded, a rare acknowledgement of Ryaji's power. Moon Breathing, 14th Form, Catastrophe, Tenmen Crescent Moon. Moon Breathing, 14th Form, Catastrophe, Tenmen Crescent Moon. This is an enhanced version of Moondragon Ringtail, possessing even greater power and destructive force, with an extremely wide range capable of killing all life within its area of effect. Kokushibo swung his regenerated blade wildly, unleashing countless massive crescent blades that would obliterate everything in their path, killing all life within a 30-meter radius centered on him. Seeing this technique, Akaza's expression changed, but instead of fleeing, he decided to restrain Rengoku, preventing his escape and leaving him to be cut to pieces by Kokushibo's attack. Even if this meant his own demise, Akaza was a demon and could regenerate. Rengoku, however, couldn't. This was an excellent opportunity to kill him. As for Ryaji, Akaza deemed him too unpredictable to engage with easily. Rengoku, though unaware of Kokushibo's technique, sensed immense danger. His instinct screamed at him to run, as far as possible. Driven by instinct, Rengoku warned Ryaji, "Run." He started to move, but Akaza reacted instantly, blocking Rengoku's escape. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 382, Chapter 382. Trying to run? Too bad, you don't have a chance. Akaza said coldly to Rengoku. Rengoku knew Akaza's plan, relying on his powerful regenerate. Trying to run? Too bad, you don't have a chance. Akaza said coldly to Rengoku. Rengoku knew Akaza's plan, relying on his powerful regeneration to stall him. Akaza immediately attacked. Destructive Death, 8-layered Demon Core. Destructive Death, 8-layered Demon Core. Akaza launched 8 consecutive strikes from all directions at once. Akaza moved like lightning around Rengoku, unleashing the 8 strikes. Simultaneously, Ryaji used the stealth skill to burrow underground, and Kokushibo's attack unleashed a barrage of massive crescent blades, accompanied by a powerful gust of wind. While Akaza attacked Rengoku, Ryaji, hidden underground, anticipated Akaza's movements. As Akaza prepared his 4th strike, Ryaji emerged from the ground, seizing Akaza's legs and pulling him underwater. Ryaji had obtained this skill from a water demon, so the stealth technique functioned best in water. Once underwater, seeing Ryaji's monstrous form with glowing purple eyes, Akaza panicked. He felt he might die if captured. Without hesitation, Akaza severed his legs and leaped out of Ryaji's stealth range. Seeing Akaza escape, Ryaji didn't pursue but instead burrowed underground again, pulling Rengoku into the stealth space. Just as Rengoku was pulled underwater, Kokushibo's crescent blades swept across the area. If Ryaji had been even a moment later, Rengoku might have been cut in half. Akaza, having barely escaped Ryaji, was instantly cut to pieces by Kokushibo's attack. More trees were shattered by the dense barrage of crescent blades, even the falling leaves were torn to dust. Kokushibo's attack devastated the surroundings. Though he was astonished by Ryaji's ability to disappear underground, he didn't stop his attack, fueled by rage, fearing Ryaji might escape. Kokushibo had hoped to at least eliminate Rengoku, but Rengoku had also vanished underground. Kokushibo was consumed by rage, an unprecedented fury. This situation was completely new to him. Ryaji's actions defied the capabilities of a normal human. Kokushibo now understood Akaza's earlier words. This kid was truly bizarre, defying logic. After a while, Kokushibo ceased his attack, leaving the surroundings utterly devastated, a scene of complete desolation. The lake was violently churned by the attack. The water droplets sent flying by the blades were pulverized into a fine mist, creating a rain-like effect over the area. Expert reader, 80 advanced chapters. 383, Chapter 383. After Rengoku was pulled underwater into Ryaji's stealth space, he struggled, fearing danger. Ryaji immediately used his telekinesis to rest. After Rengoku was pulled underwater into Ryaji's stealth space, he struggled, fearing danger. Ryaji immediately used his telekinesis to restrain Rengoku, swimming before him and making a silencing gesture. Seeing Ryaji, Rengoku nodded, ceasing his struggle and calming down. Ryaji then quickly pulled Rengoku in a specific direction. Meanwhile, Akaza's dismembered body reassembled. He looked at Kokushibo and tentatively asked, "What should we do next?" Akaza already knew Ryaji had escaped using unconventional means, making pursuit virtually impossible. Kokushibo knew this too, and was furious. As the upper rank one, he had never allowed a target to escape. Yet, Ryaji and Rengoku had successfully fled. Kokushibo didn't rebuke Akaza. Blaming him would be self-incriminating. Kokushibo hadn't held any advantage in his duel with Ryaji, having been clearly outmatched. No need. That brat is incredibly strange. Let's reconsider our approach, Kokushibo said, his expression revealing disgust. Agreed. Dawn is approaching. Prolonged combat is inadvisable, Akaza concurred, giving Kokushibo a way out. Kokushibo nodded in agreement and said to Akaza, "Let's go. Should we inform lower rank too? He's the only one left. If he dies, there will be no lower ranks in the 12 Kazuki. We might as well rename it the Upper Moon Kazuki," Akaza asked sarcastically. Though upper and lower ranks were both part of the 12 Kazuki, Akaza despised the lower ranks for their weakness and frequent turnover. Lower ranks held no status among the upper ranks. No need. That weakling hasn't returned. He's clearly dead, Kokushibo said, seemingly anticipating lower rank 2's fate. Without waiting for Akaza's response, Kokushibo left. Akaza followed shortly after. Ryaji, meanwhile, kept Rengoku submerged underground for a considerable time, surfacing only when Rengoku could barely breathe. Back on the surface, Ryaji immediately deactivated his Oni form, collapsing and coughing up blood. This was Ryaji's first intense battle in Oni form. Despite his enhanced physique, his body was injured. The moment he deactivated his Oni form, he felt the full extent of his wounds. Rengoku gasped for air, seeing Ryaji collapse and becoming worried. He quickly helped Ryaji sit up and asked, "Ryaji, are you alright?" Expert reader, 80 advanced chapters. 384, Chapter 384. Rengoku, remembering Ryaji's earlier confrontation with Kokushibo's attack, assumed Ryaji was severely injured and grew even more anxious. Rengoku, remembering Ryaji's earlier confrontation with Kokushibo's attack, assumed Ryaji was severely injured and grew even more anxious. In reality, Ryaji's injuries weren't fatal or overly serious, just requiring time to recover. Ryaji shook his head and said, "I'm fine. I won't die." As he spoke, he began healing his wounds using wood breathing. Simultaneously, the hyperdimensional transmigration system's broadcast echoed in his mind. Rengoku Kyojuro rescue mission complete. Mission rewards issued. Host has obtained flame breathing, ultimate technique, and flame breathing forms. The mission completion announcement confirmed their safety. Ryaji took a moment to recover, then stood up, saying to Rengoku, "Let's go. We need to find Inashuk and the others, then meet up with Tanjiro." Because of Ryaji's injuries, Rengoku hadn't disturbed him, carefully watching their surroundings. Seeing Ryaji stand, Rengoku asked, "Are you alright? Don't push yourself if you're hurt." "I'm fine. Let's go," Ryaji affirmed. The two began searching the forest for Inashuk and his group. Sensing Ryaji's steady breathing, Rengoku knew he was alright and started a conversation. Ryaji, what was that earlier? Are you a human who transformed into a monster? Ryaji wasn't surprised by the question, it was a natural reaction. Ryaji replied, it's complicated. Think of it as a combat enhancement that boosts my defense and fighting ability. Rengoku knew there was more to it and pressed further. Ryaji, your abilities seemed very similar to those of demons. I've encountered demons who could burrow into the ground or walls. Rengoku's question implied his suspicion that Ryaji was a unique demon, unaffected by sunlight and not a human eater. This would explain Ryaji's protection of Nezuko, who had also become a demon. Perhaps Ryaji saw Nezuko as a rare kindred spirit, hence his intense protectiveness. These were Rengoku's spontaneous speculations, the reality was different. Don't guess. I'm not a demon, I'm human, Ryaji clarified, understanding the underlying meaning of Rengoku's words. Rengoku quickly explained, I didn't mean anything by it. Even if you were a demon, I'd consider you a good one. Ryaji dropped the demon question and continued, those abilities were taken from demons. Rengoku's confusion deepened. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 385, Chapter 385. Let me explain. A demon spirit is attached to my body. This spirit needs me to feed it demon blood to survive. Without demon blood, it will. Let me explain. A demon spirit is attached to my body. This spirit needs me to feed it demon blood to survive. Without demon blood, it will torture me to death. In return, this spirit grants me immense power to help it obtain demon blood and allows me to steal and utilize demons' abilities. When I use the spirit's power, I transform into its form, but I still control my body. The spirit only provides the power. Ryaji explained this in terms Rengoku could understand. Rengoku finally understood, his curiosity piqued. He'd never heard of such a unique life form, sustained by demon blood. This meant it was a natural demon counter. Amazing. Truly amazing. Rengoku exclaimed. As long as Ryaji wasn't a man-eating monster, Rengoku didn't find it repulsive, whether he drank demon blood or ate demon flesh. So, you protect Nezuko so you can always use her demon blood to sustain the spirit? Rengoku asked. That's not the only reason. Nezuko is simply very important, Ryaji replied without further explanation. Rengoku and Ryaji continued their conversation, quickly finding Inashuk and the members of the Zangetsu squad. A dissipating corpse on the ground indicated they had recently finished a battle. Sakata Siakairo and Inoue Kenta were both significantly injured, bruised and swollen. Inoue Kenta's glasses were shattered. Shinichi and Junichi were tending to them. Inashuk's arm hung limp, and Kyojuro attempted to splint it, but Inashuk refused. Go away. It's just a scratch. Inashuk shooed Kyojuro away. Kyojuro was concerned because Inashuk had taken a fatal blow from lower rank 2, resulting in his arm injury. Your arm is definitely broken. You should splint it. Otherwise, it'll affect your arm's function later, Kyojuro said without anger. Inashuk refused to splint his severely fractured arm because it made him seem weak and dependent, something he disliked. He believed strong people, like Ryaji, never needed care but provided it to others. Upon seeing Ryaji and Rengoku, Inashuk approached them, his injured arm dangling uselessly. Big bro, white hair. Rengoku, did you finish your fights? My team and I took care of ours. Inashuk announced their victory. Look, that guy's corpse is still there. Inashuk pointed at the dissipating corpse of lower rank 2, ensuring they didn't miss it. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 386, Chapter 386. Ryaji glanced in the direction Inashuk indicated, approached lower rank 2's corpse, and retrieved Yashiro's blood collection tools to call. Ryaji glanced in the direction Inashuk indicated, approached lower rank 2's corpse, and retrieved Yashiro's blood collection tools to collect the demon's blood. Ryaji had already collected lower rank 1's blood on the train. Because lower rank 1 had merged with the train, the carriages were covered in flesh-eating tumors, making collection incredibly easy. He obtained the blood with minimal effort. Including lower rank 2's blood and the blood samples already sent with courier Miao, Ryaji had collected blood from all the lower ranks of the 12 Kazuki. Only the upper ranks remained. However, obtaining blood from the upper ranks would be far more difficult. Even from this initial encounter, Ryaji sensed their superior power compared to the lower ranks. Even with his Oni form, he couldn't completely overpower them. Even if he could defeat them, they would likely have the opportunity to escape. Putting away the blood collection tools, Ryaji returned to Inashuk and said, "Inashuk, if you don't want a crippled arm, let Kyojuro treat it." Inashuk was startled. "Big bro, white hair, don't scare me. Will it really be that bad?" Inashuk wasn't afraid of pain, but of its consequences. A crippled arm would prevent him from using his dual blade style. Severe fractures of the shoulder blade and collarbone, several broken ribs nearby, and hairline fractures in the forearm, Ryaji said calmly after a quick examination. Ryaji admired Inashuk's resilience. Most people would be incapacitated by such injuries, but Inashuk, aside from his immobile arm, remained remarkably mobile. "You can't fight anymore. Further movement could cause bone displacement, potentially piercing your abdomen," Ryaji continued. Kyojuro was surprised by the severity of Inashuk's injuries and felt even more guilty. "Amazing, Ryaji. You can analyze injuries so precisely." Rengoku exclaimed. "It's nothing special. I learned a little from a girl at the Butterfly Mansion," Ryaji replied modestly. This girl wasn't Aoi Kanzaki but Shinobu Koko, the insect Hashira. During his time at the Butterfly Mansion, Ryaji learned much from Shinobu. Aoi Kanzaki likely learned her skills from Shinobu as well. Ryaji's wood breath couldn't immediately heal the fractures, and Inashuk's bones hadn't been reset, making treatment premature and risking improper bone alignment. After hearing Ryaji, Inashuk immediately told Kyojuro, "Hurry up. Fix my arm. I don't want a crippled arm." Inashuk's complete change of attitude surprised Kyojuro, who then began to temporarily splint Inashuk's arm. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 387, Chapter 387. Ryaji then checked Sakata Siakairo and Inoue Kenta's injuries. Besides superficial wounds, they suffered internal injuries and fractures. Ryaji then checked Sakata Siakairo and Inoue Kenta's injuries. Besides superficial wounds, they suffered internal injuries and fractures concentrated in their forearms and left chests, near their hearts. Lower rank 2's attack had been deadly. If they hadn't blocked with their arms, the attack would have been fatal. Even with their defense, they were severely injured. Ryaji used wood breath to ease their breathing, allowing them to cough up blood clogging their chests. He then told Shinichi and Junichi, "Carry them. Let's leave quickly." "Yes, Senior Ryaji." The brothers replied respectfully. Rengoku observed this, noticing Ryaji's unusual breathing and the powerful life force emanating from him. The more he interacted with Ryaji, the more mysterious and powerful he seemed. Recalling the battle with Kokushibo, Rengoku knew he'd likely have died without Ryaji's intervention. After a brief cleanup, the group left the forest. On the way, Inashuk curiously asked Rengoku, "Rengoku-san, after I left, did you defeat that demon with 6 eyes?" Kokushibo had nearly killed Inashuk, making him a prime target for revenge. "No, upper ranks aren't easily defeated. Even Hashira can't defeat them alone. And you were ambushed by the strongest of the 12 Kazuki, upper rank 1. He's killed enough Hashira to count on both hands," Rengoku stated frankly, unconcerned about his image. Inashuk was even more excited. "Great. I'll have a chance to defeat that 6-eyed freak next time." The others, however, were terrified. They understood why Rengoku had insisted on their retreat. Hashira were considered the pinnacle of strength, so the idea that a demon could kill them was shocking. "Ambitious. You can do it. But not now," Rengoku encouraged Inashuk. Murata Shinichi asked, "Rengoku-sama, if upper ranks are so strong, are they invincible?" "Not exactly. A one-on-one fight is difficult because upper ranks possess superior regeneration. Even if injured, they recover instantly. Hashira, being human, are affected by injuries, their fighting ability drastically decreasing. This is why Hashira die to upper ranks. Demons don't fear pain, but humans do. To defeat upper ranks, you need a numerical advantage." Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 388, Chapter 388. Rengoku explained to Murata Shinichi that a demon's strength primarily comes from its powerful regenerative abilities. If that ability were Rengoku explained to Murata Shinichi that a demon's strength primarily comes from its powerful regenerative abilities. If that ability were removed, they would be far less dangerous. This meant that if a demon were injured, even if not killed, it could be easily decapitated with a Nichiren blade. At worst, a mutually destructive outcome could be achieved. However, injuring a demon was currently impossible, only a one-hit kill would work. Murata Shinichi then looked at Ryaji and cautiously asked, "Senior Ryaji, was the demon you fought an upper rank?" Seeing Shinichi's curiosity, Ryaji nodded. "The third-ranked upper rank. He's a master of hand-to-hand combat, extremely skilled." As Ryaji described and praised Akaza, Shinichi hesitated, seemingly debating whether to ask directly, when Ryaji added, "I didn't kill him." Shinichi didn't get the answer he'd hoped for. Ryaji's status, in his eyes, surpassed even the Hashira, so he'd hoped for news of Akaza's death. Kyojuro wasn't surprised by Ryaji's answer. Ryaji's ability to escape unharmed was already impressive. Kyojuro concluded that Akaza hadn't gained any advantage. "Senior Ryaji, Rengoku-sama. Why didn't those two upper ranks continue to pursue you?" Murata Shinji, taking over for his brother, asked, voicing his own confusion. Logically, with no clear victor, even if Ryaji and Rengoku chose to retreat, the upper ranks' lack of pursuit was unusual. Maybe they were afraid of Senior Ryaji and Rengoku-sama. Murata Shinichi flatteringly suggested. Whether they were afraid or not, they certainly didn't dare to continue the fight, Ryaji replied. "That's right. That's right." Murata Shinichi immediately agreed. Kyojuro looked at the gradually brightening sky and interjected, "It's the time. Dawn is approaching. That's why they didn't pursue. Once the sun rises, they'll have no chance to retreat." "Exactly. The sun is their greatest enemy," Rengoku added. Murata Shinji finally realized this. The intense battle had made him lose track of time. He now understood how long the fight had lasted. Ryaji and his group returned to the train derailment site. The sky was growing brighter, and with injured members and the unknown location of Tanjiro and Zenitsu with the train passengers, Ryaji decided to have Rengoku and Inashuk remain while he searched for Tanjiro and Zenitsu alone. However, Rengoku took over this task, leaving Ryaji with Inashuk and the others. As time passed, the sky fully brightened, and the morning sun peeked over the distant ridge. The morning sun wasn't harsh but warm. Ryaji finally breathed a sigh of relief. If Kokushibo and Akaza had pursued, he wouldn't have had the energy to maintain his Oni form much longer. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 389, Chapter 389. The appearance of the sun, aside from Ryaji, also put others at ease, most notably Murata Shinichi. His expression completely relaxed. The appearance of the sun, aside from Ryaji, also put others at ease, most notably Murata Shinichi. His expression completely relaxed, he exclaimed with heartfelt relief, "The sun is finally out. Even if Muzan Kibutsuji appeared, we wouldn't have to fear anymore." However, no one responded to Murata Shinichi's comment, and the atmosphere immediately became heavy and subdued, leaving Murata Shinichi to awkwardly remain silent. At that moment, Ryaji heard the distinct sound of a train rapidly approaching on the tracks. He looked towards the distant end of the tracks, and the others, having also heard the train, turned to look as well. A train was approaching the accident site. Everyone assumed it was another train and wondered if the driver would notice the accident ahead. A failure to do so could easily lead to a secondary accident, a collision between the two trains. Although everyone from the derailed train had already evacuated, the approaching train certainly had passengers. A collision would undoubtedly injure them. Fortunately, it wasn't night. Nighttime visibility would have made timely detection far more difficult. Even so, Ryaji remained uneasy and immediately instructed Shinichi and Junichi, "Move Siakairo and Kenta further away from the tracks. You two. I'll signal the approaching train to stop." Ryaji then addressed Inashuk and Kyojuro. The brothers, without question, quickly moved the injured Siakairo and Kenta to a safer distance from the tracks. Inashuk and Kyojuro also moved away, while Ryaji ran onto the tracks and frantically waved at the approaching train. As the train drew closer, Ryaji heard the brakes squeal, the train slowing to a stop before him. Once the train stopped, Ryaji saw many people disembark, people he recognized. They were members of the Demon Slayer Corps' stealth division. One of them immediately ran to Ryaji, bowing respectfully, "Ryaji-sama, we're late." This person appeared to be the stealth division's leader. Ryaji nodded and briefly inquired about the situation. The stealth division had been sent by headquarters for cleanup. Ryaji marveled at the Demon Slayer Corps' influence. They had chartered an entire train. While this mission hadn't resulted in the severe casualties of Natagyumo Mountain, the situation was still significant. A major train derailment caused substantial property damage, requiring the Demon Slayer Corps' intervention. Fortunately, no innocent bystanders were injured. The Crow's report was prompt. Almost immediately after the derailment, information reached Demon Slayer Corps headquarters, which dispatched the Stealth Division to the scene to meet with Ryaji and his group, mitigate the impact of the accident, and minimize the fallout. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 390, Chapter 390. Ryaji then briefed the Stealth Division leader on the situation. Hearing that no one had died, the leader expressed both shock and relief. Ryaji then briefed the Stealth Division leader on the situation. Hearing that no one had died, the leader expressed both shock and relief. Having witnessed countless deaths and injuries, they were accustomed to handling burials after each mission. The Stealth Division members immediately began their work. Inashuk, Siakairo, and Kenta received further medical attention. Other Stealth Division members used tools to clear the derailed train from the tracks. This was a significant undertaking, the locomotive being the heaviest and most difficult to move. Manual labor alone was insufficient. Tools were necessary. During this process, Rengoku returned to the accident site. Seeing the Stealth Division, he understood the situation and didn't question Ryaji further. Rengoku then gathered several Stealth Division members carrying medical kits to treat Tanjiro and the lightly injured passengers. Tanjiro and Zenitsu had brought the passengers to a village 5 kilometers away. Ryaji, Inashuk, Kyojuro, and the others planned to rest there temporarily and joined Rengoku. Being daytime, Ryaji wasn't concerned about the Stealth Division's safety. Upon reaching the village, Ryaji saw hundreds of people gathered in a clearing outside the village, with villagers observing this unusual sight. The villagers had never seen so many outsiders arrive at once. The number of survivors exceeded the village's total population. If not for their well-dressed appearance, some in Western attire, and the presence of children, the villagers might have mistaken them for bandits. Tanjiro's arrival with hundreds of survivors had naturally alarmed the villagers, but after his explanation, they were reassured and felt sympathy for their plight. Stealth Division members began treating the injured, attending to those feeling unwell. This process lasted about an hour. Once finished, Rengoku led the survivors away from the village. The priority was to accommodate the passengers. Rengoku planned to use the undamaged train to transport them to their destination, the Infinity Castle. Ryaji, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, Inashuk, and Kyojuro remained in the village to rest, planning to rejoin the main group after everything was settled. Ryaji gave the village headman a sum of money and requested lodging. The headman, after receiving the money, accommodated them in his home, providing a clean room. Compared to the train passengers, Ryaji and his companion seemed more mysterious and impressive to the village headman. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 391, Chapter 391. After the village headman led Ryaji and his group to their prepared room, he left without further questions or interruptions. Ryaji first us. After the village headman led Ryaji and his group to their prepared room, he left without further questions or interruptions. Ryaji first used wood breath to accelerate the healing of Tanjiro's abdominal wound. Within 15 minutes, the wound showed significant improvement. While strenuous activity was still impossible, normal movement was now possible. Senior Ryaji, did you kill upper rank 3? Tanjiro asked curiously after his wound was healed. No, the battle was inconclusive, Ryaji replied calmly. Inashuk then boasted to Tanjiro, Tanjiro, I fought upper rank 1. That guy had 6 eyes and was incredibly strong. Intrigued, Tanjiro asked, were there 2 upper ranks this time? Inashuk, was your arm injured by upper rank 1? Murata Shinichi interjected, Tanjiro, you're underestimating the upper ranks. If it were upper rank 1, it wouldn't have been a simple injury, his arm would likely be gone. Worse, he might be dead. Inashuk's injury was inflicted by lower rank 2, Shinichi added. Kyojuro then spoke with a hint of guilt, it was my fault. Inashuk protected me from a fatal blow. Both Kyojuro and Inashuk were straightforward, never beating around the bush. Zenitsu, hearing Kyojuro, approached Inashuk, playfully bumping him with his shoulder. Inashuk, wow. You're saving damsels now. You wouldn't happen to like Kyojuro, would you? Your head only has room for women. That was teamwork, something I learned from Tanjiro. Inashuk retorted teasingly. Inashuk, having learned of Zenitsu's infatuation with women during their recent recovery training at the Butterfly Mansion, made the comment. Even though Inashuk was telling the truth, Zenitsu remained unconvinced, still suspecting Inashuk had feelings for Kyojuro. Inashuk, tell me the whole story. Tanjiro steered the conversation back on track, less interested in romantic matters than Zenitsu. Even if Zenitsu were right, it was Inashuk and Kyojuro's business. Inashuk then recounted the events, with Murata Shinichi providing additional details. From their combined accounts, Tanjiro understood what happened. Tanjiro hadn't expected lower rank 2 to be bait to lure Inashuk and his group. If Zenitsu hadn't stopped him, Tanjiro would have likely pursued lower rank 2 as well. However, Tanjiro was grateful he hadn't gone. His relief wasn't from avoiding danger, but from heeding Zenitsu's advice and saving over 200 lives. Senior Ryaji, don't you think we were specifically targeted? Tanjiro then asked Ryaji. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 392, Chapter 392. Hearing this, Ryaji nodded. It wasn't just a possibility. Muzan Kibutsuji has been targeting us. Sending 2 upper ranks to ambush us clear. Hearing this, Ryaji nodded. It wasn't just a possibility. Muzan Kibutsuji has been targeting us. Sending 2 upper ranks to ambush us clearly demonstrates his intent to kill us. Fortunately, you were injured and didn't pursue Inashuk. Otherwise, upper rank 1 would have disregarded Kyojuro Rengoku entirely to eliminate you first. Because this scenario didn't occur, Ryaji couldn't be certain Rengoku could have protected Tanjiro under Kokushibo's focused attack. After all, Rengoku's inability to defeat Kokushibo alone was established, hence the system mission to save Rengoku. However, Ryaji was confident he could have protected Tanjiro from Kokushibo. Hearing Ryaji's words, Tanjiro realized the ambush targeted him. The others were merely collateral damage. Fortunately, things hadn't gone as planned. Everyone survived, although some were injured. The outcome was excellent. Upon hearing that Ryaji and Tanjiro were targeted by Muzan Kibutsuji, the Demon King, Murata Shinichi became intensely interested. Senior Ryaji, may I ask why Muzan Kibutsuji targeted you and Tanjiro? I think Senior Ryaji stole Muzan Kibutsuji's woman, so he's being targeted. Zenitsu offered a nonsensical answer. Of course, Zenitsu was joking to lighten the tense atmosphere. Ryaji considered his response. Perhaps it's because, in Asakusa, Tokyo Prefecture, Tanjiro encountered Muzan Kibutsuji disguised among the crowd and threatened to kill him. Ryaji knew the real reason but saw no need to reveal it. Everyone's attention turned to Tanjiro. They were unaware of this incident. Tanjiro, having encountered Muzan Kibutsuji, was incredibly fortunate. The Demon King, whom the Demon Slayer Corps had searched for centuries without success, was encountered by Tanjiro, who then publicly threatened to kill him. Murata Shinichi admired Tanjiro's courage. If he had known he was facing the legendary Demon King, he would have been terrified. Tanjiro, was he scary looking? How many eyes did he have? Inashuk excitedly asked. Yeah, Tanjiro, tell us what the legendary Demon King looks like. Murata Shinji also expressed curiosity about Muzan Kibutsuji's appearance. Kyojuro remained silent but watched Tanjiro intently, awaiting his answer. Zenitsu then irreverently asked, Tanjiro, is Muzan Kibutsuji male or female? Seeing Zenitsu's lust extend even to demons, Murata Shinichi gave him a thumbs up. Zenitsu, you're a warrior among men. You dare even covet a demon. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 393, Chapter 393. Don't misunderstand, I was just asking. Zenitsu immediately explained. Tanjiro wasn't surprised by Zenitsu's lechery, so he didn't pay MUC. Don't misunderstand, I was just asking. Zenitsu immediately explained. Tanjiro wasn't surprised by Zenitsu's lechery, so he didn't pay much attention and said, sorry to disappoint you, Zenitsu. Muzan Kibutsuji is a man. Not the beautiful woman you wanted. Hearing this, Zenitsu immediately lost interest. Muzan Kibutsuji doesn't actually look scary, nor does he have many eyes. He looks like a normal human. His appearance isn't particularly special, just a typical rich young man, dressed in modern Western-style clothing, clearly from a wealthy family. Tanjiro continued, describing Muzan Kibutsuji's appearance. After Tanjiro's unremarkable description, the room was silent. That was probably just one of Muzan Kibutsuji's disguises. With his abilities, he could probably transform into anything. That's probably why the Demon Slayer Corps has had so much trouble tracking him. Ryaji said this, then turned to Zenitsu and added, So, Zenitsu, the next time you see Muzan Kibutsuji, you can ask him to transform into a stunning beauty for you. Hearing this, Zenitsu quickly waved his hands in refusal. No way. Murata Shinichi was immediately amused and laughed heartily, clutching his stomach. He then picked up on Zenitsu's words and said, "Don't say that. Maybe Muzan Kibutsuji likes you. He's willing to be your woman." Murata Shinichi was naturally teasing Zenitsu while also teasing Muzan Kibutsuji. With Murata Shinichi's abilities, he couldn't possibly defeat Muzan Kibutsuji, but he could certainly make fun of him and insult his family in private. After all, no matter how powerful, Muzan Kibutsuji couldn't possibly know that Murata Shinichi was verbally abusing him behind his back. Murata Shinichi laughed for a while, then realized he was the only one laughing and immediately became embarrassed, his laughter abruptly ceasing. Wasn't it funny? Murata Shinichi looked at Ryaji, Tanjiro, and Ina shook, then at his brother. Ryaji's sense of humor wasn't so easily tickled. Murata Shinichi's teasing of Zenitsu only elicited a faint smile, a smile Ryaji often wore in a relaxed state, so Murata Shinichi couldn't tell if he was amused. As for Tanjiro and Ina shook, who were indifferent to romantic matters, they naturally weren't amused by Murata Shinichi's words. Since Zenitsu was the target of the teasing, he certainly wasn't going to laugh, that would be laughing at himself. Kyojuro, being female and extremely upright and moral, was also immune to Murata Shinichi's humor. Sakata Siakairo and Inoue Kenta, having been beaten and bruised, couldn't genuinely laugh even if they wanted to. Finally, Murata Shinichi could only look at his brother, hoping for some support. However, Murata Shinji simply asked, "What's so funny?" Seeing this, Murata Shinichi could only awkwardly scratch his head and remain silent. "Senior Ryaji, could Muzan Kibutsuji transform into any of us?" Tanjiro then brought the conversation back to the main topic. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 394, Chapter 394. Tanjiro's question sparked the interest of the others. Theoretically, it should be possible. However, it's ultimately useless because, Riga. Tanjiro's question sparked the interest of the others. Theoretically, it should be possible. However, it's ultimately useless because, regardless of Muzan Kibutsuji's outward appearance, his aura is impossible to change or conceal. A dominant demon like Muzan Kibutsuji would have an incredibly strong scent. That's why you were able to locate him amidst the dense crowd in Asakusa, Tanjiro. Ryaji offered his analysis of Tanjiro's question, which Tanjiro found reasonable. The group continued their conversation in this relaxed atmosphere. Around lunchtime, Rengoku returned to the village and rejoined Ryaji. Because the village headman had received payment from Ryaji, he prepared a simple lunch, sushi rice balls and a bowl of hot soup for everyone. The group was surprised by the headman's thoughtful gesture and expressed their gratitude. Since Sakata Siakairo and Inoue Kenta were injured and could only eat liquid foods, Ryaji asked the headman for 2 bowls of plain rice porridge. Feeding Siakairo and Kenta was entrusted to the Shinichi and Shinji brothers, as they were the least powerful members of the group, excluding the injured. During lunch, Tanjiro and Ryaji inquired about the Stealth Division's cleanup efforts from Rengoku. Rengoku explained that after clearing the derailed train from the tracks, the innocent bystanders had boarded another train with the Stealth Division members and were heading to the Infinity Castle. The Stealth Division would return the next morning on a dedicated train, stopping near the accident site to pick up Rengoku and Ryaji's group. As planned, Rengoku and Ryaji's group left the village early the next morning and arrived at the accident site. The train was waiting. Without hesitation, they boarded. They arrived back at Demon Slayer Corps headquarters late at night. The mountain was very quiet, a peaceful quiet, not the tense quiet that precedes danger. The Flame Hashira took Tanjiro back to his estate. Since Tanjiro was now Rengoku's apprentice, this was understandable. Ryaji had no objections and simply requested Nezuko. Tanjiro knew Ryaji needed to consume demon blood and gave Nezuko to him. Zenitsu and Ina shook, being close to Tanjiro, strongly objected to him leaving the Butterfly Mansion to live with Rengoku. However, Ina shook also moved in, leaving Zenitsu no choice but to follow. Fortunately, the Butterfly Mansion wasn't far from Rengoku's estate, so Zenitsu could still visit Aoi, Kyo, Sumi, and Neo. Otherwise, Zenitsu would never have moved to Rengoku Manor. Ryaji, of course, didn't move to Rengoku Manor. The reasons were self-evident. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. 395, Chapter 395. As for the other members of the Zangetsu squad, they returned to the Butterfly Mansion with Ryaji. The Butterfly Mansion had a separate res. As for the other members of the Zangetsu squad, they returned to the Butterfly Mansion with Ryaji. The Butterfly Mansion had a separate residence specifically for the Zangetsu squad, where Ryaji had previously trained them. Although Kyojuro and the others lived at the Butterfly Mansion, Ryaji resided with Shinobu Koko, a considerable distance from the Zangetsu squad's residence, ensuring their privacy. Upon reaching the Butterfly Mansion's gate, Ryaji saw Shinobu Koko, Aoi Kanzaki, Kiyo, Sumi, and Nao waiting for him. Shinobu's smile widened upon seeing Ryaji, and she waved, welcoming his return. Ryaji and the Zangetsu squad members approached them. "Welcome back safely," Shinobu said with a smile. Ryaji smiled faintly and nodded at Shinobu, saying nothing. Kyojuro and the Murata brothers respectfully greeted Shinobu, Butterfly-sama. "Aoi-chan, Kiyo, Sumi, Nao, please attend to the injured members," Shinobu instructed. "Yes, Butterfly-sama." Kiyo, Sumi, and Nao responded immediately, while Aoi Kanzaki, looking troubled, said nothing. "You two, take Suicairo and Kenta to their rooms, then return to the Zangetsu subunit to rest. Kyojuro, unless you have something to do, you can also rest. Leave the rest to the Murata brothers." Ryaji instructed the Zangetsu squad. "Yes, Senior Ryaji." The Murata brothers replied and followed Kiyo, Sumi, and Nao into the Butterfly Mansion. Kyojuro glanced at Ryaji and Shinobu before entering. Aoi Kanzaki watched Kiyo, Sumi, and Nao lead the Murata brothers away, then looked at Ryaji. Hesitantly, she asked, "Senior Ryaji, where's Tanjiro? Why didn't he come back?" Aoi Kanzaki's troubled demeanor stemmed from Tanjiro's absence. Their farewell and a month of recovery training had fostered special feelings for Tanjiro. While waiting with Shinobu, Aoi had worried about Tanjiro. Was he injured again? Severely? Would she get to spend time with him again, as before? Seeing Tanjiro's absence, Aoi was even more distraught than if he had been injured. She feared he might be dead. This was the reason for her troubled expression. Ryaji stroked Aoi's head, teasingly saying, "Aoi-chan has grown up. You have someone you like." Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. Update Schedule. Monday to Friday, update 3 chapters a day. 396, Chapter 396. Hearing Ryaji's teasing, Aoi became even more flustered and pulled Ryaji's hand off her head, stammering, Don't joke around. Senior Ryaji." Hearing Ryaji's teasing, Aoi became even more flustered and pulled Ryaji's hand off her head, stammering, Don't joke around. Senior Ryaji, I'm just concerned about a team member." Shinobu covered her mouth and giggled at Aoi's flustered state. "If you're concerned about team members, you shouldn't only be concerned about Tanjiro. Zenitsu and Inashuk aren't here either. Why didn't you ask about them?" Ryaji, knowing Aoi's feelings, continued to tease her. "Then, what about that pervert Zenitsu and that pighead Inashuk?" Aoi quickly added, prompted by Ryaji's words. "Tanjiro went back to his estate with the flame Hashira. If you're really concerned, you can visit him tomorrow. Also, Zenitsu and Inashuk are there too. Inashuk's arm is injured, and Tanjiro has a knife wound on his abdomen. If you need a reason to visit Tanjiro, you can use that," Ryaji said with a smile, even providing Aoi with reasons to visit Tanjiro. Ryaji was intentionally trying to bring Aoi and Tanjiro together. A person as honest as Tanjiro should be happy to have someone like him. Feeling completely exposed, Aoi couldn't stay any longer and hastily made her exit. "There are still injured people who need my care. I won't disturb you any longer," Aoi said before leaving, giving Ryaji and Shinobu a meaningful look, as if she understood their relationship. After Aoi left, Shinobu smiled and asked Ryaji, "Do you think she'll go see Tanjiro?" "Definitely," Ryaji replied confidently. "Then, why did Tanjiro go to Kyojuro's estate? Shouldn't he be with you?" Shinobu asked curiously. "Tanjiro is now Kyojuro's apprentice. Kyojuro plans to help Tanjiro develop the Hinokamai Kagura breathing technique. Tanjiro said the Hinokamai Kagura, inherited from his father, is very powerful but can't be used for long periods. Kyojuro's flame breathing is also fire-based, so he can probably help Tanjiro." Ryaji shared what he knew from Tanjiro with Shinobu. "So, Tanjiro has mastered 2 breathing techniques? That's amazing." Shinobu said, impressed. After that, Ryaji and Shinobu didn't linger outside. Shinobu took Ryaji's arm, pressed close to him, and pulled him into the butterfly mansion. Let's go back and talk more. Tell me about the mission. I heard the train derailed. The battle must have been intense. Did you encounter upper-rank demons? Ryaji, pulled by Shinobu, returned to their residence in the back courtyard. As they walked, Ryaji briefly answered Shinobu's questions and summarized the events. However, the fact that Ryaji and Rengoku didn't kill the upper-rank demons was within Shinobu's expectations, as she knew their power. Her sister had been killed by upper rank too. After that, Ryaji and Shinobu naturally deepened their relationship. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. Update Schedule. Monday to Friday, update 3 chapters a day. 397, Chapter 397. Meanwhile, Zenitsu, returning to Rengoku Manor with Kyojuro Rengoku, complained after parting ways with Ryaji, isn't it better to live with? Meanwhile, Zenitsu, returning to Rengoku Manor with Kyojuro Rengoku, complained after parting ways with Ryaji, isn't it better to live with the pretty girls at the Butterfly Mansion? Why do we have to move in with the Flame Hashira? Aren't we disturbing him? Zenitsu, you should be honored to receive my guidance. Only by becoming as strong as me can you attract girls. Rengoku boasted self-importantly, despite being single himself. Zenitsu asked, Rengoku-san, are you married? Is your wife pretty? Will we be disturbing you and your wife if we move in? Rengoku became embarrassed. Saying he wasn't married would be admitting defeat. However, Rengoku wasn't one to lie, so he told Zenitsu the truth. Not yet. Being a demon slayer is incredibly dangerous. I don't want to cause a woman heartache, so I don't pursue romance. Zenitsu looked at Rengoku with disdain. Just say you're single. Why make it sound so noble? No wonder Tanjiro became Rengoku's apprentice. They're birds of a feather. Add in Ashok, the emotionally inept one, and they're the perfect trio. Zenitsu thought he had a better chance with women if he stayed with Ryaji. But upon reflection, Zenitsu realized Rengoku had a point, though he lacked Rengoku's self-awareness. Rengoku-san, don't you need to have children? Zenitsu pressed further. Good question. I have a younger brother, so that task falls to him, Rengoku replied. This left Zenitsu speechless. Didn't Rengoku know the joys of being a man? Zenitsu didn't ask further. They arrived at Rengoku Manor. Standing before Rengoku Manor, Zenitsu examined the small estate. Compared to the Butterfly Mansion, it was far inferior. Even the village headman's house was larger. Rengoku-san, is this where you live? It's so shabby. Zenitsu couldn't help but complain. They were both Hashira. Why such a difference in living quarters? Rengoku nodded. Yes. While it can't compare to the Butterfly Mansion, it's much quieter. Since I live alone, it's not large, but it's certainly big enough for the three of you. Tanjiro didn't find it shabby but rather refined, just smaller than the Butterfly Mansion. After entering, Zenitsu discovered that Rengoku's residence, though small, was quite refined: a courtyard, a flower pond, walls, a cobblestone path, various flowers and plants, all exquisitely arranged. Most importantly, there was a private bathhouse and kitchen. In short, it was small but complete. Expert Reader, 80 Advanced Chapters. Update Schedule. Monday to Friday, update 3 chapters a day. 398, Chapter 398. Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inashuk settled into Rengoku Manor. The next day, Ryaji and Rengoku Kyojuro, notified by a crow, went to the estate of Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inashuk settled into Rengoku Manor. The next day, Ryaji and Rengoku Kyojuro, notified by a crow, went to the estate of Kaguya Yubayashiki, the Demon Slayer Corps' master, to give a detailed mission report. Yubayashiki learned many details, and Ryaji learned about upper rank 1, Kokushibo. Yubayashiki was surprised that Muzan Kibatsuji had sent both lower and upper rank demons to attack Ryaji and Tanjiro. Moreover, they were high-ranking upper ranks. What surprised Yubayashiki most was Kokushibo's presence. Kokushibo was upper rank 1 and a recorded demon in Demon Slayer Corps history. He was a former member of the original Breath of the Sun swordsman and the brother of Yoriaki Tsujikuni, the creator of Breath of the Sun. Yubayashiki undoubtedly hated Kokushibo. If not for Kokushibo's betrayal, Muzan Kibatsuji would have been killed by Yoriaki Tsujikuni long ago, and the Yubayashiki family's curse would have been lifted. The Yubayashiki family was related to Muzan Kibutsuji. After Muzan became a demon a millennium ago, the Yubayashiki family was cursed. Their children were frail and sickly, especially the boys, who usually died young. To prevent the family line from dying out, the Yubayashiki family followed the advice of a shrine priest and intermarried with the Jingwu family for generations. While this extended their lives, no Yubayashiki heir lived past 30. No one knows how Muzan Kibutsuji became a demon. It's an uninvestigated mystery known only to Muzan himself. After Ryaji and Rengoku finished their report, they left Yubayashiki's estate. During the report, while serving tea, Hinaki Yubayashiki secretly slipped a note to Ryaji, indicating she wanted to convey something. After parting with Rengoku, Ryaji privately read the note. Tonight, at the hour of the boar, meet outside the butterfly mansion. Ryaji realized Hinaki wanted to meet him, likely due to the system's influence. He had simply helped her in a difficult situation, and she had fallen for him. Recalling their conversation, Ryaji smiled. He wasn't irresponsible. Polygamy was acceptable in this world, and it was still early in the industrial age. However, he wondered what Shinobu thought and whether she would accept it. Around the hour of the boar, Ryaji arrived early and waited outside the butterfly mansion. He wasn't hiding, he was openly waiting. Soon, Hinaki Yubayashiki approached the gate, carrying a lantern. Seeing Hinaki in the darkness, Ryaji approached her. She was still wearing the same clothes from Mount Nadagumo, her large, watery eyes looking cute and charming. Tier, $10 casual reader, 20 plus advanced chapter. $20 intermediate reader, 40 plus advanced chapter. $40 expert reader, 80 plus advanced chapter. $3.99, chapter 399. However, Hinaki Yubayashiki's expressionless face made her look like a lifeless doll. You came, Ryaji said. Hinaki nodded and took Ryaji's. However, Hinaki Yubayashiki's expressionless face made her look like a lifeless doll. You came, Ryaji said. Hinaki nodded and took Ryaji's hand. Come with me. As soon as they left, Shinobu Koko emerged from the butterfly mansion's gate. Watching them go, she sighed helplessly. Oh dear, who's the main wife, then? Hinaki led Ryaji to a secluded, open area on a hillside overlooking the brightly lit town. Looking up, they could see the stars and moon in the dark night sky. A large old tree stood nearby. A forked branch held a simple swing made of rope and a wooden board, covered in leaves, showing long disuse. Ryaji was surprised that Demon Slayer Corps headquarters had such a beautiful, quiet place and wondered why Hinaki had brought him here. As Hinaki walked toward the swing, fireflies in the grass flew upward, creating a breathtaking scene. Ryaji couldn't describe it, it was like a fairy tale. Hinaki brushed the leaves and dust from the swing, then sat on it and gently swayed. A slight smile appeared on her face. Ryaji, who had followed her, was surprised he'd never seen Hinaki smile. He'd assumed, given her background, she would be a serious, unsmiling girl. But she was just like any other girl, she could smile. Seeing her smile, Ryaji thought she looked more vibrant and charming. He was captivated and forgot to ask why she'd brought him there. Hinaki, swaying gently, began to speak. This is where father and mother often brought us to play. Unlike other children, we didn't have much time to play, but this place holds many happy memories. After father's illness worsened, my sister and I had to constantly care for him, and we haven't been here since. Ryaji listened quietly, understanding she was confiding in him. He didn't interrupt. Only Hinaki's voice, the swing's creak, the insects chirping, Ryaji's breathing, and his heartbeat filled the silence. After finishing, Hinaki paused, waiting for a response. Seeing none, she turned to Ryaji, her eyes fixed on him. Tier, $10 casual reader, 20 plus advanced chapter. $20 intermediate reader, 40 plus advanced chapter. $40 expert reader, 80 plus advanced chapter. 400, chapter 400. Seeing Hinaki looking at him, Ryaji was momentarily stunned, unsure of her intentions. After a moment of silence, Ryaji asked, "This is a ha?" Seeing Hinaki looking at him, Ryaji was momentarily stunned, unsure of her intentions. After a moment of silence, Ryaji asked, "This is a happy memory that brought a smile to your face, isn't it? I'm glad to see you smile. You're more beautiful when you smile than at any other time. Life is full of complex emotions. We can only cherish the sweet moments that bring smiles." At that moment, Ryaji and Hinaki seemed like a knight and princess. Hinaki nodded after hearing Ryaji's words. If you had a choice, would you choose to live a normal life as an ordinary girl? Ryaji asked. Hinaki looked thoughtfully at the stars, considering the question. She had indeed pondered this. Before I met you, I might have. But after meeting you, you've become my concern. I won't leave you, Hinaki said, gazing at the stars. Turning to Ryaji, she added, because I think I'll be very happy with you. This surprised Ryaji. Except for their encounter on Mount Nadagumo, they hadn't interacted much. Hinaki's deep affection surprised him. At that moment, Ryaji believed Hinaki's feelings weren't solely influenced by the system. He believed it was genuine. Moved by her sincerity, Ryaji smiled warmly. I won't leave you either. You are a woman I, Ryaji, must protect for life. Ryaji replied deeply. Hinaki stopped swinging, stood up, walked to Ryaji, tilted her head slightly, faced him, and slowly closed her eyes. Ryaji understood her gesture, an invitation to kiss her. He didn't hesitate. He placed his hands on her shoulders, leaned in, and gently kissed her. It was Hinaki's first kiss, and Ryaji felt her body tremble slightly, her breathing quicken. He could even feel her heartbeat. The kiss revealed Hinaki's unique taste, completely different from Shinobu's. After the kiss, a blush spread across Hinaki's fair face. Her heart hadn't settled, perhaps due to nervousness. She struggled to breathe, as if overcome with love. Noticing Hinaki's distress, Ryaji placed his hand on her chest and used wood breathing to ease her discomfort. Hinaki, are you all right? Ryaji supported her with one arm while using wood breath to soothe her.
Every novel listed in the description comes with permanent access to the audiobook on Telegram. You pay once, and if the novel is still ongoing, you'll receive all future updates automatically. No extra cost. Choose your novel from the description, then DM me on Telegram, WhatsApp, or Discord. After payment via PayPal, Ko-Fi, or Patreon, you'll get instant access. Simple, secure, lifetime listening. Guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Your support means a lot.